sure y'all be all right, but you may get some of that today. Not a lot of fun. So if you feel me wearing down, Tommy, you got it. You'll just inject a little life in the moment. I'll be all right.
Absolutely. The key things for the Tampa Bay Lightning in the offseason are as follows.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I got you.
So Florida State sweeps the regional. And when you consider what's going on, the carnage that is going on around college baseball in these regionals, you can't help but smile ear to ear to see that kind of a performance and to appreciate it. And it's one of the reasons we love postseason around these parts is, and that, you know, that's indicative of baseball. It's good to see the comeuppance that the SEC got, humiliated. Should we pour one out for the SEC today? It's got to be tough for a lot of the folks in the SEC today. I'm sure they thought, based on, you know, the rankings and the amount of teams that they got into the tournament, they usually benefit from playing each other. They get, you know, even when they lose, they get told that they're going to move up in the RPI. But this time around, they had to go home, which had to be a shock to the system. You know, a lot of times you lose 2 out of 3 to a team that's ranked, and you're like, well, we lost 2 out of 3 to Kentucky, or we lost 2 out of 3 to Mississippi State, or we lost 2 out of 3 to LSU. Sucks, but we'll probably be in the top 5 because we went on the road. Now they say, no, you got to stop playing. You're no Vanderbilt. I know that we gave you a huge bump for your SEC tournament run, the likes of which we did not give North Carolina for their tournament run. But that said, these are the rules. You got to go home now. It's over. You don't even, you know what, guys, it was Wright State. We can't help you. You're eliminated. Georgia, I don't know what to tell you, that your ballpark's a joke and that anything that's hit in the air gets out of the park, but don't give up 4 in the bottom of the 9th, Oklahoma State. You're done. We got to call it a day. Texas, more money than anybody in the world. I don't know what to tell you. You can't lose that series. I mean, what are we doing? Those aren't SEC teams that are beating you guys. I can't help you. Florida, it's East Carolina. And Sully, I know it's tough. They moved the game back by an hour. Sons of bitches. Can you believe they did that? You should really let them have it. Like the class act that you are, O'Sullivan. And he did. But you got to go home. You got to go home. You got housed by East Carolina. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, Kentucky, Alabama, anybody else? I mean, there's others. I just dog it. And there's more. It could be more carnage tonight. How's it possible, Tom?
I don't know. You know, the one thing I would say about that conference is it has cultivated an essence of participation trophy energy. And I really think that would resonate with the fans of the southeastern part of these United States, that they are becoming what they loathe, which is a participation trophy conference. The fact that they just participate in the conference means that they deserve a trophy and better treatment. And yet, in Vandy's case, when they got the mother of all overrulings in their first game on Friday, a foul ball
didn't work for him, though.
That was ruled magically fair.
Yeah.
Guys, hang on a minute. Are we sure that was foul? I want you to look me in the eye. Are we sure that was no? Oh, you're not. It's a fair ball, home run, everybody. You get that ruling and you still can't advance. The Georgia one is especially delicious, given that you have home run robberies and 2-out rallies in the 9th inning.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Where people are on their feet already clapping as though they're going to be moving on to the next game, only to realize the horror that's in front of them. For Florida, they were just totally dismissed by the Pirates.
Well, they were outclassed. They were outclassed. Hard to take, but they were outclassed. Really wasn't a very
runs in both games.
Wasn't competitive.
Yeah.
Really wasn't. It actually, they should have apologized for being there.
How does he do so little with so much talent on the bump?
Well, you know,
they got hot last year, but if you think about the last 2 seasons, save for one extreme hot streak at the end of last season, in which, yes, he made it to Omaha, and Doesn't that feel more like a Jim Boeheim Syracuse run? Remember when they went to the Final Four a couple of years?
After being terrible? Yeah.
In retrospect, it kind of looks more like that.
I would say this. I mean, all sarcasm, schadenfreude aside, I think if you're a Florida fan, you're embarrassed today. If you haven't seen the buffoonery that he engaged in at that regional, go look it up. I mean, it's everywhere now. And the video is starting to come out now, too, where you can see him screaming down workers. And it's just unbelievable. And the players in the dugout are mortified. Now, if you go back to 21, Tom, we all know some of the just nasty stuff that is rumored and around that whole situation. I don't want to get back into that, but if you recall, the players gave up on him, and you could see, and there was all the stuff off the field with the tragedy and the weird, and I say tragedy, not being empathetic to him, but just the situation surrounding it. A lot of, if you know, you know. But that deal, you would be frustrated with him, I think, if you're Florida. I would think you'd be about ready to move on. He's been very successful. He's won a national championship. He's been very successful. But he's a horse's ass, and that's inarguable. I mean, he's not a good guy. And he treats people poorly. And so, it's good to see this get documented and filmed. And I'm glad the Coastal Carolina coach came out and said what he did. But enough about the lesser than conference. Let's bring it back to the ACC, where Florida State shined in a weekend where very few of the top 16 seeded teams were able to perform. Florida State performed in the brightest of lights and got dominating pitching, which is what I think is interesting here. That is really where you want to start. You want to start with the fact that, 27 innings pitched, 37 strikeouts to just 7 walks, and a total of 7 runs allowed. Your bullpen, 9 scoreless. We worried much of this season about this bullpen, and it wasn't needed much across the 3 games because your starters did a great job. Obviously, the first game, because of the weather delay, is where it was needed most. And, give credit to Link. I mean, he forecasted this weather delay. It feels like they're going to have one no matter what. It doesn't really matter what the skies actually are doing. They're going to have one no matter what. Maybe he's clued into that.
A sneaky great moment this weekend was the close of Friday's press conference. Nobody asked Link about the weather and the delay.
Yeah.
And so they closed the press conference. Any questions? No. All right. Have a good night, everybody. And before he got out of his chair, he said, "That's why we played that game." And he wanted to put it on the record.
Yeah.
That's why we played game 1.
Yeah, he felt justified.
He was hoping somebody would ask him, and he didn't care that nobody did. He was
going to get it out there
into the microphone, and it gets lost in the wash of excellent pitching and an amazing atmosphere at Hauser, which, I mean, always delivers. But I really enjoyed that on Friday night.
I'll say that, again, the consistency over the years for the program, and now they've been to the most super regionals, and it's a lot of, statistical excellence, but it's the stuff that's made all the better if they ever conclude this thing with a win. If they could ever win the championship, and they will. I think they will in our lifetime. They came dangerously close last year. I really believe if you get the check swing call in your favor and you win that game, we don't know it, but I think you're going to win the national championship. We'll never know it. They didn't get it, and they lost the game, and they didn't win the national championship. And so the quest remains seemingly eternal. But when they do, all of these accolades and unprecedented, in some cases, numbers in their favor in program history, whether it's appearances or super regional appearances or trips to Omaha or award winners, whatever, those suddenly come into crystal clear vision where you say, oh, they've also won a championship to go along with all of this rich history. For now, it's this rich history, but, and you're just trying to get rid of the but. In the second you do, all that other stuff gets pulled forward and you're praised for it, as opposed to, golly, you've done enough of all that other stuff. How about the thing? And so everybody gets it. And it's always the albatross that hangs around the neck of this program. But it doesn't mean that you cannot appreciate and really take the time. This is the thing about letting it kind of wash over you and appreciate. Look around. I mean, you have a Vanderbilt ousted in a home regional by Wright State. You're watching Clemson get bent over, just not competitive. Suck it, Clemson. And you go through and look at Florida, embarrassed themselves this weekend. You look around and you realize, okay, I got to take the time to appreciate that that's not a perfect club, but they swept their regional and they took care of business and they overcome some of their deficiencies. And the weird thing is, and I'm going to say this, I just gave you the pitching numbers, and there are individual accolades that I would like to touch on here. But I do think that this team can play so much better, especially offensively, than it is. I mean, you had some really ugly ABs in big situations from Max Williams. Now, I understand he gets the single, and it's a big moment, and it's awesome, and we should all be excited about that. But Max has not been himself lately. He's having a real hard time picking it up. At one point, the stat was 7 of his last 8 at-bats he'd struck out, and it felt every bit like that. He couldn't hit water if he fell out of the boat. And Lodi's has not been himself. You're watching a guy who's the ACC Player of the Year, was in the running for the Golden Spikes all year, and you're seeing some desperate at-bats, swinging at balls that are bouncing, just feeling antsy in big moments. And he hasn't done that all year long. He's been incredible. So there's better baseball for Florida State to play. They struck out a ton in big moments. We often say, though, keep giving yourself, and I bring this up a lot when it comes to baseball, people act as if it's a choice when you don't hit with runners in scoring position. It's not. Everybody wants to hit with runners in scoring position. Everybody wants to get the big 2-out hit. Everybody is trying to do the right thing and move runners over. Everybody's doing the things that you're supposed to do when you have these at-bats. It's just that baseball's effing hard. Somebody's trying to prevent you from doing that. And you go through long stretches where you hit at a blistering pace that defy the odds, such as those stretches where it's 9 games and somebody will bring up the stat in the broadcast. Florida State's hitting an ungodly 536 in their last 9 games with runners in scoring position. And you go, good God. But that's not sustainable, and you're not going to keep continuing to get those big hits. It's not going to happen. And then there are stretches where you can't buy a hit with runners in scoring position. And you go a week, 2, where you're hitting a $107 with runners in scoring position. You're like, this too shall pass. Some of these are going to drop. Some of these that they've hit on the button, like the Cal Fisher at bat, that was so good that he hit a screamer right at somebody. And you go, okay, 10 pitch at bat, good AB, little unlucky, foul ball on the one that he was out in front of.
350 foul ball.
I mean, everything you want in the AB, the result's not there, but keep doing it. Keep putting runners in scoring position. Keep giving yourself a chance. Eventually, a 15 hopper that Max Williams hits is going to get through because he's on the left side and there's runners on base and they're shifted and it goes through. And the next thing you know, and then, of course, Miles Bailey comes up and just does what he does, which is hit the ball hard all the time. It is incredible to think that you're in a position right now. And, Tom, we charted this all year long because we were loving the maturation and the swiftness of said maturation process of Miles Bailey. But is there anybody else on earth you want at the plate right now in a big situation than Miles Bailey? I mean, think about that. You're talking about a freshman. Maybe Cal Fisher has really good at-bats over and over and over and over again, and he does, including the home run yesterday. But, man, Miles Bailey ain't having it. He has been spectacular.
Yeah, I still would want Fisher up instead of Bailey because Bailey can miss the sweet spot by 3 inches and still drive it 360 feet. And as a man, I would put it this way. If I'm an opposing manager, who would I rather have at the plate and who would be the last person I want at the plate? Bailey right now for whoever our super regional opponent is going to be.
Yep.
That's the guy I don't want to beat me. You know what? I'm gonna throw a lot of pitches outside the strike zone to Max, especially the first pitch. It's not going to be a fastball. Here's what I'm going to do. Breaking ball or off speed, out of the zone. That's how I attack him. I'm getting up 0-1 in most situations until he proves otherwise. So I've got a plan for him. Low D's, if I've got a right-hander on the mound, again, off-speed stuff, he's going to swing over it. He's guessing right now. Maybe pitch backwards or just mess with your sequencing. He's in between. Bailey, we're going to pitch around him.
Well,
we're going to pitch around him.
It's because he goes to all fields. He's a guy that if you're going to try to pitch him away, he adjusts quickly. He'll drive the ball into the alley. He's got opposite field power. He can go yard that way too. And then obviously try to sneak a fastball in. He's quick to get around on that. And we've seen some moments where he's hit it 450 plus feet and bat speed that's insane and exit velo and all that. Yeah, it's interesting. They're a team that I think can put it all together still. It's a weird thing to say in a regional that you sweep. It's a weird thing to say where I think there's a lot better baseball in them. And you don't know. You may not get it. You may not get it, and we'll lament that, man, their best baseball was probably this little stretch here or this little stretch there. You don't really know. And that's the hard part about baseball in a truncated postseason, which is what these little tournaments are, these little regionals. The upsets occur. You're seeing it all over the country. I mean, there are plenty of teams that, knocked off teams this weekend that on the whole of a season were not the better team. But they don't have to be in a truncated regional. You just got to win a couple games over somebody and you're in. So, there's still some tense moments, speaking of which, for the SEC tonight. Tennessee, LSU, Ole Miss.
Yeah, Ole Miss is still going, right?
Yeah. So there's North Carolina and Oklahoma played today. What I think that's at 3. I'll have to double check the scheduling. I think it is at 3. So the game that you're interested in out there listening to me now is USC and Oregon State. So whatever you're doing, be somewhere to watch it at 6:00. If Southern Cal is able to knock off Oregon State, we're hosting this weekend. They'll fly across country here to Tallahassee, and we'll host a super regional, and that place will be on fire. If not, we're off to Corvallis. Either way, you got to play good baseball. We know that. I'm excited to see what happens. Obviously would love to host. But the way the schedule lines up today, a 3:00 North Carolina-Oklahoma matchup, Southern Cal, Oregon State at 6:00. You've got Wake and Tennessee also at 6:00. How interesting would that be? How about Wake walking it off last night there?
That's slow torture too, because it's bags loaded, nobody out. You've lost, and you have to
you got to wait.
You got to watch it.
Man, serve it up, sir. You can't just walk a run in. I mean, serve it up. You might hit it right at somebody. I mean,
I'm trying.
You got to serve it up.
Damn it.
Dude, Little Rock is a weird team to watch. They beat LSU last night and has LSU on the brink. That's a 9:00 game tonight. There's 2 kids for Little Rock. The one kid from the Dominican is unbelievable. Watch his ABs. He's got 11 RBIs, or at least when I fell asleep last night, he had 11 RBIs in 2 games, including a home run that was a rocket off the scoreboard. And he got his hands inside, dropped them on an inside fastball, and you're going, whoa. And then I found out that he's a big-time Major League prospect, and I was, oh, well, there it is. You can see it. I mean, he's a horror. They got a couple dudes. Everybody does this time of year. Everybody does. So that's why I say you're just so appreciative when you find yourself in a position. By the way, Miami and Southern Miss tonight, 9:00 as well. Winner-take-all game between those 2 squads. That's why you exhale. Good job. That's back-to-back super regional appearances. Obviously went further a year ago. But if you're just charting the progress of Link Jarrett in a very short period of time, what you're seeing is the consistency from a program that matches the legacy of great Florida State baseball. And now, I said a year ago when they made the deep run in the College World Series, look, I feel like Link's attention to detail and their ability to, I think, even with to a lesser degree, I guess there's no other way to put it, lesser NIL money than maybe some other schools, I still feel like Florida State will sustain excellence. His attention to detail is such that they're going to find the right guys, fit them in. They've done a great job this year. You lost so much firepower from a year ago, and yet here you sit. And you got guys emerging from the pitching staff at just the right time, which is the other way to put a ribbon on the opener here by pointing out Mendez has been climbing to this moment for a couple of weeks. It wasn't just this game. He was looking like a dominant player and a more dominant pitcher than we had seen all year long in his last couple of starts. And I felt like he had a couple, even one of the home runs yesterday, obviously not the leadoff home run, but the second home run comes after he gets shafted on the 3-2 on the 2-2 breaking ball. If that's called a strike, he's out of that inning. It's still 1-0. Instead, it's called a ball. Tries to throw it again. It's pissed on. The kid adjusts nicely, knew it was coming, and pulled it and really got all of it. It's good AB. Should have been struck out. That was an interesting home plate umpire.
Oh, jeez. You can even see it in the expression on his face. You're like, oh, are you all there, my man?
Yeah. That was an interesting home plate umpire. So. I've watched a lot of college baseball this weekend, Tom.
Yeah, I can tell.
It's just,
I have watched more than I usually do, but it sounds like you are the encyclopedia of the regional.
I watched tons of it. All of them. I love it. I was watching most of the regionals, spending lots of time just watching the regionals. And the thing that stands out, it's not as bad as softball, but it's not good. The level of acumen behind the plate in the college game. It ain't good, man.
Oh, yeah. And we got a couple down the stretch. Mendez did in the eighth inning.
No, in the ninth. They were screwing those kids. The first strikeout when the kid gets thrown out, I actually said good for that kid who got thrown out. He knew it was his last at bat of the year. He knew the season was over. Look, I don't pity him, but that ball was inside, but yes, 8 inches. I mean, and what he said was kind of what I would have said. He starts with a very calm no. And then it's followed up by what he says. And then there's the final word is just an emphatic, my favorite. There it is. He was going to get thrown.
Gosh dog it.
I mean, and he was right. Speaking of getting thrown out, did you see Taylor Walls get thrown out of the
I did.
Holy moly.
That looked like something that I'd see in This Week in Baseball replays.
Back in the 70s and 80s.
Yes, that had
What was that umpire doing? What was that guy?
And Kevin Cash had no idea either. He's like, what is going on?
Guys, go look at that. Former Seminole, I mean, good God.
2 of them, 2 generations.
He's like, what?
He gets Taylor out of there because he thinks Taylor might throw a punch. And you know what? It looks like Taylor might throw a punch in that moment.
It was insane.
The look on his face is, what is happening?
Yeah, he was stunned. Yeah, it was something. Pitch a penny right now. They've got those cold plunge tubs. If you've been thinking about that for your fitness routine, if you've been wondering about purchasing a cold plunge tub, they've got the professional, best of the best cold plunge tubs available to you over at Pitch a Penny off of Greer Street. I went over there. I'm supposed to go this week, Tom, and actually do this thing. Jump into the cold plunge tub.
Are you going to do it?
Yeah, I don't feel great right now. I don't know if I'll have a heart attack when I do it.
You're going to take a selfie video? Everybody who does a cold plunge has to take a selfie.
Well, I don't know if I want to do that. But Hot Springs makes these cold plunge tubs now, and so then you're guaranteed the quality, the best of the best and all that. And I went to see them because I wanted to be able to talk about them. They are badass, and they fit nicely. Like, if you got a little deck out back, you're good to go. But, yeah, they want me to come over there and jump in that thing and experience that so that I can talk about it for real. I'm like, ugh. I don't know. I don't know.
Have an ambulance on standby.
Like, good God, man. Again, they're off of Greer Road there, Greer Street. You go over there and check it out for yourself. Pinch a penny. They do a lot to help make it very, very affordable for you. It is. You can basically pay this thing off in pennies. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
There's There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
Tallahassee's 30-year-old funny paper and American Legion Post 13 have joined forces to become Major Morale. The new magazine has 4 more pages of post activities and military information that you probably never knew. But don't worry, it's still as politically correct and newsworthy as always. Okay, it's the same funny stuff, but it's still only available at the sponsors' locations like Tallahassee Automobile Museum, Krispy Kreme Donuts, Keith Lawson Services, or ABC Flooring. Tallahassee's leading supplier of in-stock, top-of-the-line ceramic, carpet, waterproof, and hardwood floors since 1990. At ABC Flooring, you can pick out your floor and installation can begin in 48 hours. ABC Flooring is also the leading supplier of in-stock landlord property management products in the Panhandle. Visit their warehouse showroom on Capitol Circle Southeast or call 877-6600.
Hey everybody, this is Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage. Been in the industry now for 22 years. I just made the move over to the nation's largest retail lender, Cross Country Mortgage, here to serve you in 7 states, including Florida, Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and the state of Texas. Here to offer better service, better rates, and if you were thinking about buying or if you've been on the fence and been waiting to call me, now is the time. You can still find me at loansforknowles.com. That is, again, loansforknowles.com. I've helped thousands of fellow Knowles get into their dream home, and I can't wait to help you get into yours. Give me a call today. I'm at 954-369-6171, or go to loansforknowles.com. Again, that's 954-369-6171, and that's loansforknowles.com.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 373031.
Science-packed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50. For those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Yeah, but again, I will say much of this game, if you think about Florida State, so many opportunities, not driving runs in, but they were driving pitch count up, and it felt like it was a matter of time. It did. I got a little frustrated with the lefty that came in because he was effective. And I thought, well, at some point, they are going to have to come up with a big hit here because they're going to have so many opportunities. But they did a good job of getting that kid out of the game. I mean, when you're sitting at 70 pitches after 3 or 4, I mean, you feel like, okay, just keep on keeping on.
Yeah,
because,
bide your time.
Yeah, because Mendez was so good and efficient. So efficient. And, at one point, I'm going off of memory here. I think at one point it was like 70 pitches for their starter, and Mendez was like 36 in the same amount of time. Okay, all right. Because even though he gave up the home run and a hit in the first inning, it was only 6 pitches because he got the double play and he got out quick.
Link has been talking about Mendez for the last month and what's to come next year, how much he's looking forward to what's to come next season from Mendez. It took me aback, because usually Link is very much an in-the-moment guy or talking about what's ahead of him in the next game. But he went big picture as he was describing how excited he is for what Wes Mendez is going to be. And now it's seemingly arriving sooner. Like it's almost like he knew that there was a breakthrough coming. Maybe there was something in the side work, the bullpen sessions, numbers they saw on the track, man. But it was almost like he predicted that this was coming.
Yeah.
And man, is that super impressive, because you also have to think about the spot. It's not just 8 innings. It's 8 innings in a clinch game, a potential clinch game for you, with your bullpen behind you that's uneven. If you lose today, good Lord, what could happen? You're down 1-0 for about an hour and a half, then it's 2-0. So can you get us through 6? Can you get us through 7? Then Posey comes out without Link Jarrett, who has been ejected in the game, and he has to make a decision. Do we leave you in? And they have a long talk, and they had 2 arms ready to go in the bullpen. It looked like maybe, Mendez only had 1 batter to get, but they let him keep going after that. Like, just the mental toughness in that spot is going to serve him well. More than just serving Florida State well to move us on to the Super Regionals last night. That's a really important performance for Wes Mendez under a direct spotlight, because essentially that's like a Friday night on steroids. So good for him to respond in that moment. Also, he responded as an emotional leader for the ball club in a moment when they could use an answer and an emotional leader. Just a comprehensively impressive performance from Wes.
Well, and that leads us to 2 talking points, and I'm not going to belabor it and sound like an old man, but college baseball is a mess. It's been trending in this way. I don't know if I should say that it's college baseball as much as it is just any sport right now. It's like, we've talked about it a lot. Everybody thinks they're in a movie, and they want to make the highlight reel, and they want the montage at the end of the game to reflect a moment that they had. And sweet Jesus, the histrionics, the theatrics, the constant screaming that you hit a single, you hit a double, and good God, man. Everything is Game 7 of the World Series. It's just, what are we doing? And it's inevitable that you're going to end up with a situation like this. The Mississippi State kids, if you want to put it this way, starts it. He does. He acts like a clown. And that's really early in the game, my man. Chill the F out. What are you doing? He's dancing, pointing at his junk, pointing back at the bench. I'm like, what?
He reminded me
doing?
of Dabo after a 50-yard field goal. That's what he reminded me of. I'm like, this is some stuff
it was just
Dabo do.
Weird. I don't get it. I don't think I think even people that are considerably younger than us think, well, this is silly. Why? I don't mind, like, if you hit a bomb and you celebrate with your team in front of the dugout, the jump up, whatever, boom thing, that's fine. That's with your team. It's what it is.
Yeah, I could do without the 180 spin, because now you're looking at the other dugout.
Well, Max is always going to make sure he's looking at the other dugout.
Chase is doing that now, too. I'm like, oh, come on. Can that just be done with?
He ain't going to hit too many.
Because Miles just goes straight through. He's just going through people.
Yeah.
He's like, get out of my way. Boom. All right.
Yeah. Well, again, and David, you're not wrong. We often disagree, but you're not wrong. Tennessee did start all of this, and it was absurd. And Link's team beat that Tennessee team in Knoxville. Link's star was already on the rise, but when Notre Dame went in there and knocked off Tennessee and had one moment of their own by which to celebrate accordingly, it was a glorious moment. The country was celebrating that Notre Dame team because of the most unlikable team ever collected in a sport of college baseball was that Tennessee team.
We really need a brawl somewhere. This is the old school mentality of get it out of your system. If you've got 2 guys or brothers or whatever that are really at each other's throats, and the gym teacher of yester generation says, all right, have it out, boys. Here are your boxing gloves. You have 15 minutes. Tucker yourselves out. Now shake hands and be done with it. I feel like college baseball needs that moment. We need a benches clearing moment, and then it's just done. And we can maybe watch this thing clean a little bit more. But all teams were pulled aside across the country to address this specific issue. That was part of the reason for
Link's
ejection last night, and why Link came out of the dugout in the first place. He said, hey, guys, if this is a point of emphasis, where are you? You're missing out. It's happening right before your eyes right here.
Yeah, and he didn't like that the ump had something to say back. And I think, he didn't like that he was addressing the bench
and his third base coach.
And so, he's going, whoa. You guys know this was talked about before the series. I'm only pointing out that we had expressly discussed this situation.
You brought it to us.
Now, the thing of it is, Link understands his team is just as apt to do it. So I'm sure he probably liked the thought, like, let's get a handle on it. It ain't going to be good here. People are going to act the fool. This is what we do in college baseball these days. It's a little bit like in hockey. For those of you that love hockey, you understand the necessity of being able to drop the gloves. It's an important element of the game in policing the game. And it's what keeps sticks out of the game is the ability to punch each other.
Or elbows and shoulders.
Right. This is what allows for these kinds of things. So in baseball, I've always thought, well, you can police this. It's a fastball off the ribs at 98. And they don't do that in college baseball, although I know we had several guys plunked last night. None of those were intentional. But I'd like to see it. I'd like to go back to the day where you just throw at somebody when they act like an idiot.
I feel like Lodis had one hit a nerve because the look in his eyes was different.
Well, it looked like it really hurt. I mean, that was right up.
He said something that was akin to funny bone, but I think that, whatever part of the back, the shoulder, I think it was like if you hit that spot on your ankle or you hit the funny bone, because the look in his eyes was disorientation. He's like,
well, yeah, that
it got me. And it was 94, 96, whatever it was.
I remember, by the way, you have old school mentalities, and they'll tell you, you got to lean into it. Man, get the hell up out of here with all that. It hurts to get hit by a baseball. I'll lean into it with my ass cheek. If you got one coming towards my ass cheek, I'm in.
Phrasing.
But no, we're not doing a baseball when we're I'm not leaning into my elbow, my wrist, my forearm.
No, well, you can also tell that Lodis is not picking up the baseball real well right now, because he reminded me of me. I saw me, 9 years old. He hardly reacted to it, and it had already hit him. He was like, oh.
Well, that thing tailed into him, too. He couldn't. There was nowhere to go. That's one of those tailers where you're like, oh, man.
He hardly even turned.
It's like, I want to stay in. It's a big at bat. Ah, man. That's a terrifying moment. I've only been hit like a handful of times ever playing baseball, but it sucked every time. It was never okay. Even people are like, well, it was the breaking ball. Man, it's a baseball. It's being thrown. I could stand from here to you and just throw a ball off your ribs like that fast. And you'd be like, damn, man, what the hell? Because it's a baseball.
I'd be like the dog staring off in the distance.
It hurts.
This brings back a lot of bad memories.
Oh, man, it's rough. Shannon Young, my man, Knowles. It's Loans for Knowles, I should say, .com is where you want to go. Better rates, better options, stronger support, faster response. I vouch for Shannon. I know him well. I know his work ethic. I know his intelligence and his willingness to go the extra mile. He does so now, serving 7 states, Florida, Georgia, Bama, Tennessee, Texas, and the Carolinas. You want to learn more about our guy and his unwavering commitment to helping you and his fellow Knowles get the best loan options to buy a new home. Go to loansforknowles.com. That is loansforknowles.com.
Your local news now.
5 people are taken into custody and transported to Leon County Jail on Thursday following an immigration raid at a construction site on Gain Street at the new student housing development, the Perla. Since then, 2 have bonded out of jail on resisting arrest without violence charges before ICE could place a hold on them. The other 3 people remain in custody. The federal authorities are actively pursuing the subcontractor responsible for employing any of the illegal workers. On Thursday, more than 100 people were detained during the raid. Some of the detainees are from Guatemala, Mexico, Nicaragua, Colombia, El Salvador, and Honduras. Some of the detainees were previously deported, while others had criminal backgrounds. More than 50 Florida Highway Patrol troopers were seen assisting with the raid Thursday, during which people were seen being lined up and zip-tied or handcuffed. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3.
Right now, 87.
Honey, what are these mushrooms in our yard? Portobello?
Let me take a look. Oh,
It's hockey.
I don't know, but our septic system is failing, and our whole yard smells like
Should we try to cook these up and eat them tonight?
This is bad, Sheila.
Well, we better fix it soon, or we're going to be in deep.
Sheila, look. It's Crud Septic. Our prayers are answered.
Call Crud Septic Service today. Pump outs, installs, repairs. CrudSeptic.com. That's CrudSeptic.com.
There he is. Haven't seen this guy since, what was it? Oh, shoot. You two at the Sphere in Las Vegas, baby.
Hey, how about that, man? Wasn't that fun?
Good show. Good show. Everything about it. Nearly perfect. Nearly perfect.
I had everything I could possibly want.
I wanted one thing, couldn't find it, and I looked everywhere. No Cubans.
What do you mean? There
No
was
Cubans.
There was Cubans.
No, I didn't see any Cubans.
Dude,
No.
I'm sure there was Cubans there. I mean,
No. I walked around. There was a moment right before the show. I thought, got to find some Cubans. Nothing.
Dude, there's Cubans. There was Cubans. I'm sure there was Cubans.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
No Cubans in Vegas.
There's Cubans in Vegas, man.
Eddie, there were no Cubans.
Jeff.
The sandwich. There were no Cuban sandwiches. You're Cuban. Of course I know there were Cubans there.
Oh, the sandwich. Yeah, no, there probably wasn't many there in Vegas.
No Cubans.
No, not yet.
Florida, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Roll it on, but I do feel still a certain amount of buzz left over from the series and from what Florida State did, and an energy going into tonight that I'm very curious. I do think, Tom, there's a chance to affect the narrative next year. Think how mad everybody was, understandably, when the seeding came out, the regional sites came out, and the conversations we had about, well, wait a minute now. This feels a bit excessive. And you can talk about, you want to reward the best conference, but let's not make it sound as if they cannot be beat. And let's not engage in the scenario by which, and you brought this up last week when we were talking about basketball, where there are no bad losses because you just beat each other. And seeing a depancing to this level of that conference should influence next year when we go back and look at the seasons in total and say, all right, well, what are we looking at here? We learned our lesson a season ago that it's not the be-all, end-all over there.
Yeah, that's the hard part for me about this discussion. It bleeds over into football, too. I get that you might be more of a pro factory, but we sent a lot of draft picks to the pros at Florida State in the mid-2010s after our 29 straight, to a winning streak. A lot of those kids were from the 15-year and the 16-year. They didn't exactly cash in because coaching matters. And the RPI, to me, it just feels, and I don't know, statistically, I'm sure an NCAA statistician could look at it and tell me that I'm wrong. It just feels reflexive. It feels like for existing, you are credited. But
it's the one fear everybody has, certainly, that's where this is all headed.
Yeah, it's just, it's self-fulfilling. But what I will say also is I don't know that we deserve to be the 9 seed. So in that sense, I think we got more than a fair shake. And to your point, seeing all of if it's like playing a game of Minesweeper, seeing all of these things go across the country and how many difficulties national seeds had and are continuing to have into today, I agree with you. And we said it before the regional started. This was a pretty good draw for Florida State. Of all the situations, to be a 9 seed and have this draw was pretty nice. And they made good on that. And it might get even better a little bit later this afternoon and evening.
They made good on it. They took advantage of it. They played well. They pitched. They really pitched. And if you get anything close to that as we move forward from, listen, Bellini still hasn't been Bellini. So when you get him pitching well, he's been okay. But when you get him pitching well again, and you've got the emergence of Mendez, and you have about 2 or 3 arms that you really trust now out of the bullpen pretty consistently, you're always going to hold your breath a little bit, but you've got a couple you feel very good about.
Well, here's the interesting thing, too, is there's a decent shot, obviously, that we will be a Saturday to Monday super regional. I would think that better than decent because we have cross-country travel to play one way or the other.
Right.
And you have Monday games. In that instance, that means game 2 would be on a Sunday, 1 week after Wes's start. Would you slot Vellini third now in the super regional because of what just happened yesterday, what just happened this weekend in general?
Well, not just what happened yesterday. Mendez has been very good. 2 of his last 3 starts have been very, very good.
Absolutely. It's just in this circumstance, now you add on the pressure of an atmosphere, of a hostile dugout, of chippiness between 2 teams, all of the emotions that come with this time of year. Good Lord. You'd be hard-pressed not to slot him second in the rotation, I would think.
We might get an opportunity this week. We'll effort to do so to get Mike Capozzi on the show. I've enjoyed my conversation with him, conversations, plural, with him, and he's got to be proud right now. Again, those numbers are really impressive. To have that bullpen go 9 scoreless is really impressive in a regional. We talked about the bullpen, the fear we had of the bullpen. Well, you're not going to do better than 9 scoreless. And then from there, obviously, his starters were really, really good too. I think the big, stands out 37 strikeouts to 7 walks. Okay.
And that's been a huge development for Coach Posey because of the midpoint of the season, a little bit past the midpoint of the season. You're going, is everybody going to regress here?
Are we just going to watch us walk the world?
Right, exactly. And there's nobody we can go to. The long stairs from Link Jarrett, not at his pitching coach, but straight out from the dugout as another kid is running
real
at 3-0.
Frustration, yeah.
Or he's middle on 0-2 and it's a bomb and you go, okay. And you could feel it even through the television, or if you're in the stands, you can feel that tension with the coaching staff because they're all frustrated. And yet now, if you look at Florida State's pitching numbers relative to last year, the key rates, because the numbers, the totals, different amount of games.
Sure.
The whip is better than it was last year, marginally. Slugging and ops, way better. 30 points, 35 points better this year than last year, which is saying something given that you've had a real problem with the bullpen most of the year.
Well, it seems to me you're getting longer efforts out of your starters here lately, and the emergence of Mendez mirrors that of sort of a Carson Dorsey. And, we talked about Carson Dorsey last week and how wouldn't it be cool if you had somebody who was beginning to resemble that run that he went on? And Carson did it earlier, and you saw longer, and you realized how much that was going to be at play in the postseason. Whereas Mendez, you would not have labeled him coming into this postseason as somebody you thought that was going to do that. 8 innings of dominant baseball. But you thought, hey, look, he had a nice start his last time out. Could have been even better if a couple guys had made some defensive plays behind him. Let's see what he's got this time around. It's a big situation. And he rose to the occasion yet again. You're beginning to think he's getting stronger. He certainly pitches with a great deal of bravado and confidence. So, yeah, you might want to consider it. But do you have a situation now where you've got 3 – obviously with Jamie being Jamie again, and I want to go back to that start because I've been the one begging for that start from Jamie Arnold. I've wanted to see that Jamie Arnold, which we've seen before. We know it exists. It's why he's so outed. It's why he's projected by many outlets to be the number 1 pick in the draft. I wanted to see the number 1 pick in the draft pitch like the number 1 pitcher in the draft. I wanted to see it. And, man, we got it. It was there. It was. Well, if you get that version of Jamie Arnold, you're in great shape for game 1. And then you go from there and you have a guy like Mendez who's pitching with so much confidence. Yeah, you're feeling good.
Also, the signal that Joe Charles is available back-to-back nights in that situation. I was first guessing on Saturday, why do we have him back out there for an extra inning of work? Why don't you save the pitches in case we might need him tomorrow night?
Did you get worried when he comes out great and then he gets shaky with the thread, and you're like,
is he out of bullets?
Yeah.
Like what's going on here? Because the tie runs on deck and you're thinking, oh dear
let's
Lord.
not do that.
Because we know how quickly it can spiral with his bullpen. It's like, well, okay, who's coming in after him if you need to go get him? I don't like this. I'm not like this. I don't like it at all. And I'm thinking back to Saturday and I'm like, man, you're going to run it up to 30 pitches. You didn't need to. You didn't need to on Saturday, but now that you're on the other side of it, and he's proven for his own faculties too, mentally, he can sit on this for a week and say, I can throw 30 pitches in game 1 of a super regional, come back the next night and close if I need to. Like that's massive.
Early when he came out, he was on fire.
He was.
I was like, okay, buddy, let's go.
Adrenaline makes some dudes wild. It seems to serve him very well.
It was impressive. Very, very, very impressive. So I don't know. I think that confidence is rising too. So all of a sudden, you've got options that you didn't believe in necessarily or trust. You're starting to trust more. Let's put it that way. They got a chance to make the run out to Omaha, man. We'll see what happens. It is a wide open field. Doesn't feel like there's a dominant team this year like there was last year. So
looking around now, you're going, man.
Why not? Right? Yeah, that's what you start doing. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with.
Tired of spending money on bug spray and inhaling all those fumes every time you want to go outside? Treat your yard so you can stop spraying your kids.
Paul's Termite and Pest Control has a solution to this persistent problem. Paul's has a program which seeks the grounds, flower bed, and shrubs. Paul's controls pesky mosquitoes year-round, which means you can take back control of your yard. Not only are mosquitoes a physical irritation, they also pose a potential health risk to people and pets. With Paul's targeted techniques, you can rest assured that your yard will be protected and your afternoons will stay fun.
Take back your yard. Don't let mosquitoes interrupt the fun. For more information, go to callpauls.com. For the elimination of termites or any other pests.
And a greener lawn, too.
Call Pauls. We'll get them all.
Pauls can help eliminate fire ants from your lawn, too. We'll help you take your yard back.
Porterman, you're walking crooked again. What happened to you?
Well, I was sitting at the boat ramp, sipping on a margarita when my alligator Hank decided we needed to go water skiing.
Oh, no.
Next thing you know, Hank's strapped to 4 skis and I'm hanging on his back and the boat is pulling us out. It was all going great till Hank spotted a duck in the lily pads and wanted to jump the wake.
Porterman, you're crazy. No wonder you got hurt.
Yep, once taking its air, then bam, now I can't even bend over to put on my own water skis.
Well, Porterman, you better get over to Thin Chiropractic right now. You can book an appointment online and take advantage of the new patient special.
Special offer online? That's easier than wrestling an airboat off a sandbar.
That's right. Just go to thinchiro.com. FENNCHIRO.com. FENNCHIRO.com.
That's it. I'm headed over there boogity to get straightened out.
Hey, this is for my homeowner friends out there. You know who you are. When you get your grass cut, you're going to inspect the work, make sure it's good, get your house painted, check around every corner and edge, make sure that's done right, get a new roof, get to get eyes on those shimmering new shingles. Get your septic tank cleaned. Bet you're not popping your head down in there to take a look around. You got to trust it's done right. I'll make it easy. Go see my friend, Greg Miller Septic. They're my guys. I trust them, and you can too. MillerSeptic.com. That's it. That's the commercial. That's the whole thing. Check them out. That's MillerSeptic.com.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee. Your sports flash update on Real Talk 93.3 in Tallahassee.
Major League Baseball, the Tampa Bay Rays losing to the Houston Astros 1-0 on Sunday, splitting the 4-game series. Tampa Bay was held scoreless on 2 hits. It left 5 men on base. Rays hosting Texas on Tuesday at Steinbrenner Field to begin a 3-game series with the Rangers. College baseball, Florida State won the Tallahassee Regional over the weekend, winning all 3 of their games. It beat Mississippi State twice, including a 5-2 victory on Sunday. The Seminoles will face either Oregon State or USC in the Super Regional round. Florida was eliminated from the Conway Regional in South Carolina over the weekend. Gators fell to both East Carolina Friday and Fairfield on Saturday. And in NASCAR, Ryan Blaney won at the Nashville Speedway Sunday night, taking the checkered flag at the Cracker Barrel 400. Bundle auto and home, renters, or condo and save with Progressive. I'm Tony Desiri, Real Talk 93.3.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies the same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com, sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
Do you have spring fever? Your only prescription is the Lawn Johns. Hi, it's Mark from the Lawn Johns. We can make your landscape more appealing by providing you with award-winning lawn care. With 4 levels of service, the Lawn Johns offers you more choices than the rest. More flowers, more mulch, or more pine straw all means that your home or office will be more beautiful than ever. So if you've got spring fever, go to thelawnjohns.com or just look for our big purple truck.
I gotta have more cowbell.
Whidden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Whidden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Whidden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Whidden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Whidden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
Ready to spice things up, Tallahassee? Slide into the all-new Tallulah Love Shop, your one-stop pleasure palace. From sensual toys and steamy couples kits to luscious aphrodisiacs and pheromone perfumes that whisper, yes. And oh, don't forget the THC slushies, flower, 7-0 kratom, and sweet edible treats that hit just right. Grab your partner or come solo and see the all-new Tallulah Love Shop at 1530 Mahan Drive. More love, more fun, always at Tallulah.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Southern Cal with the possibility, if Southern Cal wins, that Florida State hosts again. Wouldn't that be something? It would be great. Thanks to those of you listening on 93.3. Thanks for those of you that are watching on YouTube TV, Warchant TV. Appreciate you. You know, Tom, we've been tasked, and I got to tell you, I keep putting it off. Golly.
Are we talking top 40?
We are.
Yeah.
Doesn't it feel, I don't know, doesn't it feel early this year? it feels early. It feels like we've got a regional. We got a super regional. We've got some things to distract us from putting together the top 40 list, and it's a whole new roster just about. I don't know. This seems like a difficult task. I sat down this morning, had a cup of coffee with the intent of doing the top 40. We've been asked to do so, GeneWilliams.com. Sent out an email, told everybody, let's get our top 40 in. Seemed reasonable enough at the time that he asked. I think it was Friday of last week, something like that. I didn't do it. I was distracted. I had things that I was doing, and I knew, because in the past we've had a little buffer there where you get like a week. But I don't feel like we get a week this time. I feel like he wants this by tomorrow, or and I don't know. Have you put together 40? Have you gotten to where you're even? You and I talked about it on Friday. We did it in the bonus hour.
So when I first got the email, I was diligent enough to open up a spreadsheet and begin the process because I thought if I don't do it now, I won't complete the task. And that's true. I started it. I got to about 18 to 19. It got too difficult, and then I just walked away. And I'll come back soon. I feel like July is usually when we knock these things out. However, I understand this requires a lot of thought this year, and maybe a little bit of work on the dartboard too. We'll put a few names on a dartboard, go over to CP, and then throw some darts, and that will be my 36th or 37th. We could maybe do a bit with this where we get a female singer in here to record the weekly top 40 for you,
yeah.
JC, and the yearly top 40. And coming in at number 39, everybody, Deontay McCray. There we go.
We could. I'm struggling with it. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I don't know. I don't have a good sense of you want to take it seriously. You know how difficult it is. You know that some things are predicated on other things, but if those things work out, then this guy will elevate on that list. If not, then it's a useless pick.
Oh, hey, man, I'll raise my hand right here. I have no idea what the hell Tony White's going to run. I know what he wants to run, but I also know that he's multiple. So if you gave me a multiple choice test of 70-30 four-man front, 60-40 four-man front,
right,
50-50 three-man, I don't know. We're going to find out. Health is a big one there, and then also the aptitude that he has derived from spring camp. I think he's going to still be making that decision early in fall camp about how do I get the best 11 on the field? Who are the best 11? What are we going to do with the best 11?
This is kind of a long-winded way for us to say, to get out in front of it, like, hey, don't make us beholden to this top 40 list, guys. There's a part of me, the other angle, Tom, is to be like, listen, if Tommy Castellanos is going to be like everybody's number one because he's a starting quarterback, and it seems like that's the fallback for any year, any team, anywhere, is that guy. Doesn't it change some this year, given the system that we're running and what is required of him as a runner? Well, if that's the case, aren't all of those offensive linemen more important than Tommy Castellanos?
Now, a very fascinating question, and I agree with you. I think that makes the offensive lineman all the more important.
Vital.
I'm hoping that we hear any day now that Coach Norvell believes that Gunnar Hansen's going to be a first-team All-American at left tackle. That will help me push Gunnar to number 3 on the list.
I mean, I think you could start just by going, all right, I pulled up the offensive line here, the first and second, string projected offensive line. And so you mentioned Gunnar Hansen on the left side. You could just take Gunnar Hansen, Richie Leonard, Luke Pettibone, Adrian Medley, Micah Pettis, maybe throw in just because we'll see, I don't know, Andre Otto, who's fighting for one of those spots, right? And be like, all right, those guys are going to be in the top 10.
Yeah. Yeah, you could do Tommy C., the top 6 offensive linemen, Gavin Sawchuk and Usman Kroma, and then Randy Pittman. Be like, no disrespect to Deuce Robinson or anybody on the defense. I just don't know what defense we're going to run, and I know we want to run the football. So everybody that's involved in the operation of running the football is going to get my top billing. You could make that case.
Florida man in Alabama wrote that Lead the Mutiny, Tom, refused to submit the top 40 list until after FSU's baseball season is over. I would like it, but, I got to give Gene credit. He basically undercut all of us by just saying, fine, If you don't submit it, you don't get involved and you're not in the project. And he was like, you either want to be or you don't. All right.
You could say for Jeff, it just says NR for everything not ranked, and then in parentheses on principle. On principle. I'm not doing it.
I don't know, man. I don't know where, and I've wrestled with certain players as to how they fit within the scheme, like you're doing when you're talking about the defense. So, for example, we both know James Williams is important.
Yeah.
And he's going to be.
To what extent is he important?
Same with Amari Williams.
Oh, well, that's easier. James is ahead of Amari.
No, but I'm saying Amari, is he going to play both ways?
Right.
His value goes skyrocketing if he's going to play both ways.
Would be interesting if he did and he was able to take snaps away from a Landon Thomas or a Biscuit. That would be quite the statement in Amari Williams' favor. I don't think he's taking snaps away from Randy Pittman. But who's next?
Who's the other safety? Besides Shaheem.
You trying to piss me off on a Monday?
Who's the other safety? Is it KJ Kirkland? If he's the safety, you're going to rank him higher, but you don't know if he's going to be the starter.
Hit me in my place where I'm most fearful in the offseason.
It gets really difficult. Earl Little Jr. Is Earl Little Jr. that guy? Do you put him in there ahead of? You see what I'm saying?
Earl and Shaheem, but you could have three safeties in this defense.
Right?
Who plays what in terms of the safeties? Are there going to be coverage busts? Yes. That's what wakes me up in the middle of the night when I think about football.
Well, you're scared to death of them getting it wrong and making, having coverage busts, as you say. I'm more just solely honing into the top 40 list and trying to find the value, Tom. I worry about the play on the field as we get further into the summer. Although, welcome to June, everybody. It is June, and today is my son's birthday, my youngest son's birthday. So for the record, in case I die here in the near future, I do want to say a very happy birthday to Clark Cameron, who turns 15 today. And on this day, his birthday, he got his learner's permit. So there it is. I will be happy to teach him how to drive here in the next year. And that is the task that I accept freely, happily.
You wouldn't hire a third-party person to do the training?
No. I will teach my son how to drive, just like I taught my older son how to drive. I will not let my wife teach him how to drive. I mean, who does that? We will let me teach him how to drive.
Moving along. I had a third-party driver.
Did you?
Yeah, he was great. So
your dad was busy and he said, look, I'm going to hire somebody?
No, he said, I'm not doing it. Because
it does lead to frustration.
Yeah. He's like, we're not going to have a dust up. We had a person.
Have a dust
up. And I got this cantankerous old guy who was awesome.
Yeah.
He was the best. He goes, now, if you're going to do one thing and one thing only, is you're never, ever going to idle or brake when you change lanes. That is something that pisses me off to no end. So I'm going to teach you right here.
Yeah.
I want to hear a little bit of a rev when you change lanes. I want you to be confident as you do it. And that still sticks in my head. I have no idea what that guy's name was, but I liked him. He had some character to him.
So, it's funny. I'm patient. You wouldn't think it. To listen to me over the years, you wouldn't think it. I am actually patient when it comes to my children and it comes to teaching something. I am. I'm very patient. And I think back on it now, it's a lot easier to teach kids how to drive than it was when all those many years ago I learned how to drive, because I learned on a stick shift. In fact, my first car was a stick shift, but I learned on a stick shift.
All Model Ts were.
And that can cause a lot of angst. Trying to teach a kid how to drive on a stick shift and they're grinding the gears. And you're like, let's not do that. You're like, man, it's my car. So it's easier now. They're automatics. You're like, okay, well, that visit. Right foot. You don't use your left foot for the brake, son. Right foot on both here. This is how we do it. Give yourself a car length. It wasn't hard to teach Bryce. We'll see. Maybe Clark will be a different animal.
Could be.
I don't know.
Every kid is different.
He's got a lead foot, I do believe. Jeffrey Johnson off the top rope here. How about this? Thank you, buddy. I find myself feeling a mix of emotions as I think about the upcoming Alabama game. On one hand, I'm thrilled at the thought of being there in person, surrounded by passionate fans. What's on the other hand?
Another $50.
No, if you scroll back up, I think I see there's another post that he has here. However, I can't shake this feeling of apprehension that makes me hesitant to fully embrace my excitement. Should I allow myself to get hopeful about this experience? The guys get on me about this. I'm a realist most of the time. I'm pretty pragmatic. I can say, and I have for years, I get some things wrong. I'm not saying that I project the right answer every time about what a team is going to be, especially none of us did last year. But when they're bad, like when they've been bad, I've been able to say it unequivocally. I've just been able to say they're not any good, and this is going to be a long year. Like, if I thought that, I have no qualms about saying it. And if that's unveiled, if that's revealed, even if I thought differently before the season, if that's the reality, I can say it then, without a problem. I don't, there are no caveats. Just, they suck, guys. This is going to be tough. We're going to have to buckle up for a lot of sucking. This is not good. And so that'll happen, right? I can't say that you shouldn't be excited about this year's team. And I mean that. Do I think they're going to be world beaters? I do not. No, I don't think they're a title contender or anything weird like that. I don't think they're an upper echelon college football team. I think we can hope for 8-4. And I think maybe if the ball bounces the right way and you get very fortunate, very lucky with your health, maybe 9-3. Best case scenario, in my opinion, is a 9-3 season. Which, again, if held to the standard of Florida State excellence, is just a so-so campaign. On the heels of 2-10, it would be welcomed by most, but it's not to be celebrated. It should never be celebrated. 8-4 around here should never be celebrated.
Agreed. 9-3, though, I think would legitimately put a little bit of pep in your step because of what you're responding to.
Yeah, it would make
it's
you
your
feel
own mess,
infinitely better.
Yeah.
You'd still say, okay, we'll be going into year 7 and we're not elite and he still doesn't recruit worth a damn. So, you'd still be frustrated, but you would feel better. There's no doubt about that. But his question is specifically about whether or not he should allow himself to get excited about being in that stadium with the changes made and a big-time matchup with the nation watching against Alabama, surrounded by fellow Noles who are pumped for a new season, a new beginning, and a great game. Yeah, man, you should be. I'm not going to tell you not to be. You ought to be. Got to go in there with the highest of hopes. You got to go in there ready to cheer your ass off, celebrate the return of college football, specifically Florida State football, because that is something we all love. Now, it may not go the way we want it to go, but you asked about going into that stadium and being apprehensive. I think everybody that walks in that stadium will be somewhat apprehensive about what might the result be. But I don't try to go into opening games with the thought of what will happen if we lose. I don't do that. I don't. And I tend to lean towards let's see how it plays out. Let's try to glean what we can from this game. Who's what? What does it mean? After the game's played, there's time for assessment. Oh, we got to get better here. We were really bad here, but we were fine here. I think you go into it with high hopes, with optimism. Again, I don't think they're going to be a great team this year, but I think you go into that first game really excited to do so.
Well, this is just as crazy as it gets. Short of bringing in a new head coach and a new staff, this team's a total mystery. I mean, you can look at what the production and the indicators are from different institutions that you're grabbing players out of the transfer portal. Perhaps past performance would indicate future success or failure for some of the guys that are holdovers. But consider that basically your entire offense, including the coordinator, is brand new. Your defensive structure is totally new. And at each level, you're going to have transfer players that are critical to the success of the defense. Your specialists are new. This team's a total mystery. Now, the one thing that can give you hope is I would ask you Oklahoma football and their standard, right?
Yeah.
Last year's group, are they living up to Oklahoma football standard? Or is
no, that team that went 6-6?
Yeah,
no.
That is a team that is so far below the standard, they're forcing Brent into calling plays again on defense.
Yeah.
And he's on his last legs. And yet that program that is far below its own standard, had enough to
crush.
outclass Alabama. Which is what that's not a huge mental gymnastic move either to say that
Alabama's not what Alabama was.
Yeah.
So this weekend, I had cause to go out of town and to see an old buddy. He's a diehard college football fan. And I was talking with him about the Alabama game. Now, he got his PhD from Florida State, but he got his undergrad degree from Nebraska. So obviously tough times at Nebraska for 20 plus years right now.
Interesting perspective, though, given what we're becoming.
Very interesting perspective. And we had this conversation, and now he's locked in on Nebraska year round. And he wants Florida State to do well because, again, he and his wife got their PhDs from Florida State. That's when I met them. And they love Florida State, and she especially does because she's from Florida. But we talked about the season and the team, and he was picking my brain saying, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And he wasn't as well versed on the changes. And so when we got to the Alabama game, he goes, well, I watch a ton of college football, and let's be honest, Jeff, I mean, you shouldn't feel overwhelmed about the prospects of playing Alabama. And I said, yeah, well, we did go 2-10 last year, my friend. He said, well, yes, but with all of those changes and it being the first game of the year at home and the style of offense that you're going to be running, if you have a modicum of success running the football, which is something I've echoed a lot, you shorten the game. Alabama is still a bit of a mystery themselves. There's more pressure on Alabama than there is Florida State because they're the prohibitive favorite, double-digit favorites already. And DeBoer, by losing 4 games this past year, is a coach that, that's an unreasonable fan base right now because of Nick Saban and the success he had for such a prolonged period of time. If he were to lose that game, the noise in the system, as they say, becomes deafening from Jump Street. Sadly, the retort to that is if we were to lose that game, it's just another loss. We've had a lot of them lately. And it would maybe, damper the enthusiasm for the remainder of the year, depending on what the score was and what it looked like. But it's not the same sort of thing. So the pressure, if you put game pressure on somebody is the point. You get into the second half and this thing's tied at 13 or 17 or something. Okay, yeah. How do they respond? Could be a great game. Could come down to the fourth quarter, final possession, something like that. That's all you can ask for at this point.
I think who is the pressure on is a great fundamental question at all levels of sports. I think it even affects professional sports to an extent, not as much as college. But if you're in a best-of-7 series and you're up 3-2 against the higher seed and you're hosting game 6, right? So it's on your own court, your ice, your field, whatever. The pressure's on you to close it out in that moment. If the better team forces a game 7 and they get to play game 7 on their turf, their court, their ice surface, their field, and that's the pressure's on you to end it tonight. And that can sometimes influence how you see games playing out. Another spot, a 2-0 series deficit, game 3 becomes incredibly important in the pros, and you want to bet that accordingly because who's the pressure on to have a big performance? Well, for college, I mean, it's to an even higher extent. There is no pressure on Florida State relative to the pressure that Kalen DeBoer feels for Alabama. Now you can say, well, Mike Norvell has a lot of pressure to get this right.
Yes,
but if you have a setback against Alabama and yet you go on to win 8 or 9 games after that, you're going to be fine. It is not a critical moment in his tenure. He already had that at 2-10. So in a way, you already have the noise in the system. For DeBoer, man, if you lose this game, people are bringing up Vandy within seconds. They're bringing up Oklahoma at 6-6 within minutes. They're looking at that Michigan game and going, really? That the pressure is on Alabama, and perhaps he coaches tight if you put game pressure on him in that particular moment. It's going to be fascinating to see, but there's no doubt that if you're talking about who's the hunter and who's the hunted, we can play loose in that sense. We're the hunters. It's on our field as well.
Yeah, you got. I really believe you got to hang in there early. I think the biggest thing is how do you survive that first quarter? They're going to chin check you with physicality. They're going to run the ball. They're going to have offensive linemen that are plus players. They always do at Bama. And you got to hang in there because we're worried about the depth on defense. We're worried about whether or not they can hold up. If they can hold up early, you got a young quarterback making a big road start, first of his career. That could get interesting. You could overwhelm that kid. Alabama's heavily favored for a good reason. And I don't think we're going to be a great football team this year. I don't think we're going to suck. I just don't think we're going to be a great football team. How do you hang early? Get it to the second half, have it be a game, and then all bets are off. Then it gets, you know how nervous we're going to be at halftime if this thing's tied at 10? Ooh.
I would be happy. Actually, yes.
No, you'll start to dream. You transition from, we're not getting blown out, to, oh my God, we could win. That's a different feeling. I don't think people are walking. And what do you think the percentage is of people that are walking into that stadium as Florida State fans, if they were to be honest, you gave them truth serum before the game and said, come on, man, we winning this game against Alabama or not? How many of them do you think would believe in their heart that the answer to that question is yes, we are going to beat Alabama? Plenty of people will pay lip service to it. Plenty of people on the game day after a couple of cocktails are going to be like, hell yeah, man. But deep down, if they were being honest, after what we've just been through, you think this group is walking in there chest out, hell yeah, we're going to beat Bama?
No, I'd say somewhere between 15 and 25% would, with the truth serum, believe it. There's enough change for people to believe in the mystery of what's to come.
I think there's enough change to provide people with hope and a sense that the possibility is there. But I don't think they believe it's going to happen.
Yeah, going to happen versus could happen is a very different
argument. Yeah. Very different argument. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
All right, about that time to upgrade my iPad and my Apple Gear. How much memory do I need? What upgrade should I get? What size screen? How many chargers do I need? USB-C, USB-D, mini USB, USB-B, ABC, 1, 2, 3?
If only there was a local business that can guide you and help you understand what you need and get you the best pricing possible. Or wait, that's what they do at Mac & More Systems. Get help buying the right gear for the right price and have it shipped directly to their store for pickup, all at no extra cost. That's the kind of service you won't get at any big box store. Shop local at Mac & More Systems. Find out more online at macandmoresystems.com.
Hey everybody, this is Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage. Been in the industry now for 22 years. I just made the move over to the nation's largest retail lender, Cross Country Mortgage, here to serve you in 7 states, including Florida, Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and the state of Texas. Here to offer better service, better rates, and if you were thinking about buying or if you've been on the fence and been waiting to call me, now is the time. You can still find me at loansforknowles.com. That is, again, loansforknowles.com. I've helped thousands of fellow Knowles get into their dream home, and I can't wait to help you get into yours. Give me a call today. I'm at 954-369-6171, or go to loansforknowles.com. Again, that's 954-369-6171, and that's loansforknowles.com.
Housing NMLS 373031.
No matter what printing you need to keep your business running, we can help. Hi, Jason Butera here for The Printery. Reduce your stress and give us a call. From new product brochures or posters to yard signs, postcards, even letterhead and envelopes, The Printery sets the standard in personalized service with outstanding results. We offer full-service graphic design and free pickup and delivery. The Printery, home of 36-cent color copies. If it's ink on paper, we've got it covered. Call us today. 877-6418. 877-6418.
Looking to upgrade your backyard, your business, or even your life? Then you've got to check out Southeast Portable Buildings right here in Tallahassee.
That's right. Southeast Portable Buildings has everything: sheds, cabins, carports, and now beautiful decks to go with them.
Imagine a brand new storage building and a deck out front. Perfect for that morning coffee or for your family gatherings.
Need something custom? No problem. They'll work with you to find exactly what fits your needs, big or small, simple or stylish.
And with easy financing options, you can make your dream space happen sooner than you think.
Southeast Portable Buildings, where you're not just getting a building, you're getting a lifestyle upgrade. Give our friends a call today, 850-580-6400. That's 850-580-6400.
Southeast Portable Buildings.
Big buildings.
Big decks.
Big dreams.
Southeast Portable Buildings on West Tennessee Street, just north of Capitol Circle in Tallahassee.
Leaky faucet, busted pipes, clogged toilet? M&L Plumbing is here for you. For all commercial, construction, and residential plumbing issues, call M&L Plumbing at 575-9393 or visit online at mnlplumbing.com.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Richard asked me, Jeff, find out what Link said or did. Was he arguing the swing or the taunt? No, he was arguing the taunt, Richard. He was arguing that, and you missed this in the first hour, what happened was before the game, both teams, both managers or coaches in college baseball is what they call them, were addressed about sportsmanship. And this was a point of emphasis. And I think this was true across the country.
Yeah, it was Friday or Thursday before the regional even began, as I understand it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that bottom line is that college baseball is a bit of a blank show right now. You're watching players celebrate everything above and beyond what seems reasonable. And as it happens, you get escalated tensions. Something that I've mentioned before I think would be solved by the occasional fastball to the middle of the back. And maybe that would remedy some of this. It happens in pro baseball for sure, but it doesn't in college baseball because the penalties are so steep for knowingly throwing at somebody if they can catch you. And so guys don't do it per se. And I just think this escalates and escalates. It's taunt after taunt after taunt. And at some point, somebody's going to retort, and they're really worried about an ugly situation happening. And I do think we're destined to have it. I mean, this is where this is headed. You're only going to endure being taunted against so many times before somebody just decides, this guy's going to get punched. So this is going to go. I'm about done with this. I say this all the time about, people who feel like they're above getting punched. We live in a world of people who feel like they're above getting punched.
Hey, man, we cut to the stands this weekend, and there's a couple of Knoll fans that are looking down at the dugout and waving people.
Don't do that. Don't
come up here.
Don't do that. Don't ever do that. But yeah, man, it's that's the stuff where you're like, come on, man, don't do that. But you do realize that eventually, yeah, we're gonna have a fight. We're gonna have a guy hit a double, go through all the theatrics of screaming and yelling and doing some sort of dance, and somebody's going to punch him. It's going to be like, okay, I'm done with this. You do your TikTok dance later. Bap. Is he there? I thought you still had to reach out to Ira. I apologize. Ira Shafel, my man, Warchant.com, joins us now on the Jeff Cameron Show. Hello, Ira.
How's it going, man?
Good, brother. How are you?
Good.
I'm excited, obviously, as I'm sure you are. Your thoughts on what we just bore witness to, which is a beautiful sweepage. Nice to see it take place with another SEC team falling. And just think of the joy we may have tomorrow by the time we see each other if a few more were to fall by the wayside. Goodness gracious, we may even have a change in which the postseason ranks teams.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how any of this happened. I'm still trying to make sense of it because, last week I just heard Greg Sankey and all these people from the SEC talking about how that conference was just a different level. It's like playing their own sport. And, clearly they did it in basketball, and we've always accepted it in football, and now it's happened in baseball, and that's why they should get all the top seeds. And sure enough, a bunch of them got bounced at home. So I'm not really sure what just happened.
Did you happen to witness, and I think you did because I believe I saw you retweet something, if I remember this correctly, but I do wonder, and we'll talk more about Florida State, but do you think at any point O'Sullivan's behavior is such that Florida, despite all of his successes, would part ways?
It's interesting. I was thinking back to remember when they were failing when they would get out to Omaha early in his tenure.
Yep.
There were people around the program then who were like, "Man, this guy's hard to deal with, and they're not accomplishing what they should based on what they do in the regular season, based on talent in the roster." Well, then they go and win the national title, and so once you do that, man, people will tolerate a whole lot.
Sure.
And but the problem is, the last few years have not been what they were before. And, listen, that we can talk openly about this. He had a big advantage for a while there because he came in at a time where Miami was not Miami anymore. And it was the tail end of Mike Martin's tenure. And Mike Martin Sr. wasn't on the road recruiting. And, he's aging. It's the end of his tenure, and Miami's not what they used to be. And O'Sullivan came in and just cleaned out with all the top players. And, now that's not happening anymore. Link Jarrett's doing a great job. There's a lot of other schools that are doing a great job, and his program is not dominant anymore. And if you're also an asshole, that can become a problem.
That could be a huge problem, and I'd say that he may be number one on that list of people. Now, that said, back to Florida State. Were you most impressed with Florida State's pitching staff, including 9 shutout innings from the bullpen? Or was it what you saw from any one person, say Wes Mendez, or if you'd like on the offensive side? I really thought that, Miles Bailey is becoming such an anchor of this team, such a rock-solid at-bat every time out. Give me the guys that stood out to you.
Yeah, no, obviously Miles is awesome. One thing that kind of dawned on me, I thought really during this regional, it's been coming, but I felt like during this regional also, Cal Fisher is a guy who I started looking at thinking, man, in a year from now, because, I remarked to Aslan during the regional that, he's really transformed his body from a year ago to where it is now. And you just project, okay, in another year, that kid's going to be a pretty cool corner infielder and a big bat in that lineup. But yeah, no, I thought, to me, I was more impressed by the starters. I just thought Jamie was everything you could hope for. And the guts he showed, I thought, in that last inning, to get those last 2 bats, including the right-hander for the last out. I just thought, man, he dug down. I mean, he was over 100 pitches, really dug down, and I thought came through in a huge way. And then Mendez was incredible. The bullpen did great, and I'm not taking anything away from them. A lot of those innings were not like high leverage innings. So I'm still not sure against great competition how well they're going to do.
Right.
But I did love what I saw of the 2 starters. And if those 2 guys pitch like that, man, you're going to have a chance the rest of the way.
It's interesting. I when Link got thrown out of the game, ejected from the game, a couple things. Look, I get him standing up for his guys, and especially frustrated by the fact that this was addressed to both teams and really all the teams in college baseball prior to the postseason play. We now learn this is a growing problem, an epidemic in baseball, in college baseball, where the show up effect that I see around every regional is at some point going to lead to some sort of fight. They're trying to get out in front of that. And then immediately we have a scenario that falls under that umbrella, and this guy just ignores it. So I get his frustration, but did you think that the second go was probably unnecessary, or did you understand it? Because I thought he should have walked away.
No, listen, I mean, I think most people that, are very familiar with baseball umpiring, and there are certain times where you're supposed to stop. And when he tells you he's heard enough and he turns his back on you and starts walking away, that would be the time. Yeah. But the problem I have with that is I didn't feel like it was that time to do that. I mean, Lincoln only had been out there for barely a minute. He was just trying to talk to the guy, and he wanted the guy to ask the other officials, "Hey, didn't we talk about this?"
Yeah.
Because I think I'm not sure if it was the third base umpire. One of the other umpires, I think, was the chief of that crew. And I think he just wanted them to talk about it because you guys told me that it's a 0 tolerance policy. And now here this guy just stares and not just screams at Hankerson and the dugout, he points at him. I mean, repeatedly. It was ridiculous. And you're just going to do a warning when you told me you were going to police it. And I think the problem for Link is, listen, man, I'm trying to control my team.
Right, because they're not above it.
If you're going to let that happen, I might lose Max Williams. I might lose who knows? And
right.
So I might lose Wes Mendez. So I think it was just frustrating because they had been talked about it, and they, now you're not enforcing it the way you said you would. And then when he's trying to talk to the guy, immediately the guy's just like trying to talk over him, and he's saying, listen to me. And it's like, no, let me talk. And then like after 45 seconds, 50 seconds, he just turns around and walks away. Well, I get Link, but I don't think, some people wonder if Link did it on purpose to kind of get the team fired up. I don't think so. I don't think he thought he was going to get run there. And that's what he said afterwards. And I think if you watch the way he reacted, I think the reason he got so mad when he was tossed, because I just don't think he even thought that was a possibility. And now he's thinking in his head, my gosh, these kids have to play 7 innings without me.
Well, I think he was mortified, stunned. Link is a control freak, and I mean that as a compliment. There's no way in a game of that magnitude you want to get thrown out that early. I do think you're right. I mean, this is a guy who played the game at a high level, has been in the game forever, his whole life. He knows that you get a little bit more leeway in a postseason scenario than the one that he was given. He had to be mortified.
With your season on the line.
Yeah, pretty frustrated. But in the end, Florida State wins. And so tonight, Ira, we can all sit back and hope like hell that Southern Cal gets it done and that we're covering another super regional here at Hauser. It is something to behold. I know that I've been to a few more than you have, but it is impressive to see Florida State and Hauser the way that place is, and the special, just the special atmosphere for college baseball that Tallahassee has been a part of for a very long time. I know that this fan base is buoyed to be back at that level, because this is back-to-back years now where you've seen you got a belief that Florida State is going to be in the mix under Link Jarrett every year.
Yeah, and I, to your point, I was actually 2 different times this weekend. I was just looked out at the crowd, and I just caught myself looking out at those bleachers and down the side, the foul lines where they're just packed to the gills. And it's just it is impressive to see that passion and people staying to the very final pitch. And it's just such and the crowd last night was almost unhinged. I mean, it was like a
wrestling crowd.
Somebody tweeted that it was like what you'd think the Roman Coliseum was back in the day. I mean, it was wild, but it just shows again, it just shows the passion and Link certainly. Because listen, man, it was waning a little bit. Towards the end of Coach Martin's tenure and then during Mead's tenure, and the success wasn't there. But now people buy in and they realize, okay, this is going to be a perennial contender. And I 100% agree with you. I think that the most impressive thing, and I'm going to write something about this, I think to me the most impressive thing about this team this season is, it's very much totally reconstructed from a year ago, and he has pieced it together really, really well. And that's not. It's almost like being a GM as much as it is being a coach, and he seems to be perfectly suited for this time in baseball.
Brother, always appreciate it. Be well.
Thanks, Jeff. See you, man.
Yep. See you later. That's Irish Fell, Warchant.com. That ump, maybe Link himself, could have used a little bit of cornbread hemp CBD gummies. If you've been looking for a natural way to relieve aches and discomfort or furious anger, the CBD gummies from Cornbread Hemp are formulated to work with your body, not against it. And that's a good thing. I would also point out that they help you feel better, whether it's the stress or discomfort of a moment, needing a little relaxation. Right now, Jeff Cameron Show listeners can save 30% off their first order. Just head to cornbreadhemp.com/warchant. Use code warchant at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/warchant. Use code warchant.
Your local news now.
The Georgia Bureau of Investigation is investigating after the mayor of Climax and his wife were charged with child sex crimes. Mayor Joseph Kelly, 38, was arrested and charged with 2 counts of child molestation. His wife... Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at macklemoresystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon, with daytime highs approaching 91. Winds out of the north around 5 miles per hour. Lows level off around 68 tonight, mainly clear skies. Mainly clear skies tomorrow. Slight chance of thunderstorms, daytime highs approaching 93. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 86.
Do you own a small business? Let me guess. You started your business so you could get bogged down with payroll and bookkeeping, office tasks, and other paperwork, right? Probably not. I'm Craig Collins with Collins Income Tax Solutions. Allow me to help you get out from behind your desk and get back to doing what you love. For any of your payroll, bookkeeping, or other business services, give me a call today and allow me to take it off your plate. You can find my contact information online at collinsincometaxsolutionsllc.com.
There is no Bigfoot, Eddie. Would you stop with that nonsense?
There's Bigfoot, Jeff.
I wish there were. By the way, I don't want you to point to me as the guy that takes all the fun out of the room. I wish there was the Loch Ness Monster. I wish there was the Bigfoot. I wish there was the Chupacabra. All the things.
They're all mythical except for the Bigfoot. The Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot. There's big feet. There's lots of them.
So like different, breeds, like different kinds.
There's like, families. There's different families. And,
so if they're in the snow, you call them a Sasquatch.
Or the Yeti, right?
Yeah,
and then here in Florida, that's a skunk ape. And, but
never heard that one. By the way, why do you think it's real? We would have found them by now.
They're the hide and seek champions of the world. Nobody finds the Bigfoot.
I think you believe in Bigfoot.
I do believe in Bigfoot.
You don't believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Don't tell anybody you believe in Bigfoot.
I would go look for Bigfoot, but he scares me.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Yeah, I do believe that he was stunned by how quick the fuse was there, how quickly they got that guy, got Link out of there. And I do think most of the time these umps have a little bit more discretion in the postseason situation to throw out a guy that early in a game. And he wasn't accusing him of anything. It wasn't about strikes and balls or balls and strikes. It was about a rule. It was about like, hey man, we've addressed this.
Yeah, because in real time, you might consider in the beginning that it's about the check swing, but it's not. It doesn't have much to do with the check swing and not appealing to third base. It's about everything that happens after that check swing is ruled. And, McGahee's coming down the third base line, and obviously the pointing's going on at Hankerson. Yeah. And it was Link defending his team. There are times when as a fan, you watch a manager come out of the dugout and you say, sit your ass down. Like, even if it's your own manager.
Yeah.
Your own guy, you're like, come on, man. This isn't the thing we're fighting over. What are you doing? This is a waste of time. And now you just cost us 3 50-50 calls because you can't sit down and keep cool. Link, in this situation, I got no problem with that. You could say in retrospect that the walking after the umpire is a bit too far, but man, I agree that had not reached a boiling point. That had not gone to a place where he's throwing F-bombs and the umpire is saying, like, I'm ignoring these F-bombs, but if you do it again,
there ain't going to be too more.
It didn't get to that place, man. We all know that.
What upsets you is when you watch a guy who is, most of the time I get upset when umpires make it about themselves. I didn't feel like the umpire made this about himself. He just wasn't doing his job. In that situation, when an umpire comes out and is addressing you without F-bombs, without profanity, and Link wasn't, I went back and looked at that closely. There's no...
Yeah, I think the ump might have dropped a GD bomb. That's about it. But he was discussing what was going on, not yelling at Link.
Well, my point is that Link didn't address him with profanity.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No,
yeah.
When you watch early, I always look for that. Because if you're going to do that, you're going to have a real short leash. Like if I'm umpiring, and I'm not an umpire, but if I were an umpire, first of all, I don't get my feelings hurt very easily. Language doesn't bother me. So I'm not one of these people who clutch their pearls. But if you came out and you were MFing me as you walked out, well, this is going to be a very short conversation. We're not going to, because you don't want to talk. you don't want to talk. You're telling me that by the parade of expletives. But if you come out and you're asking me or pointing to a rule or wanting another one of my umpires on the crew to address something, I'm going to listen to what you have to say, because it could be something that I need to take a look at. It might be something that I realize, we made a mistake on. I can't cave in here, but it's one of those times where you see umpires in situations like that go, fair enough. I hear you. I know. Let me address it with them. I'm going to address it with them, Link. Okay, that's it. I'll address them with them, and we're moving on. I'm going to do something like that. I'm not apt to throw you out in that moment. So that's why I was surprised, because he didn't come out MFing him. He came out to address, this is something we've talked about. What is that? What did he just do? This is the very thing.
I agree. I think it's more civil than most would, which is why it was strange that he got tossed. However, that ump does have a lot of ump show in him.
Oh, he does. Yeah.
A ton of it. And this is where we pick on kids, and we're right to, but these umps have been doing it for generations. Before this was ever a problem in modern day college baseball, umpires were doing some ridiculous thing.
Pro baseball in particular, Angel Hernandez, Cowboy Joe West, and all those guys.
Puffing their chest out. The one giant dude did he have the heart attack on the field?
Well, no,
that
was
the guy who got hit by the pitch to start a game. And,
which is the best, by the way. That is the best.
I forget that guy's name. It's a giant man.
He was a giant man.
But he wanted to be a bully.
Yeah.
It's just, hey, can we just move this game along? I enjoy the passion, but there are enough moments between the umpire and the pitchers and the hitters. I'm like, oh my Lord.
Well, yeah,
they're watching Jerry Springer.
It's gotten silly now in baseball. And, also they do. Did you think, let me ask you this, because we're up against it here and we're about to go into third hour here, final hour. I thought they were going to call Miles Bailey out for sure. I mean, the out at first, they were going to call obstruction there for sure. He didn't slide.
Oh, the slide?
You gotta slide, my man.
I don't know what the hell they were doing.
Well, I don't know why he didn't slide. A, B, you have to slide, because that is a very easy call. They can just say, you're out. Runner at first is out.
That's the one thing. It left me questioning, is the rule that cut and dry? Is it that black and white that you must slide? Because if it is, then you must call that a double
I thought
play.
that would take 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm like, it sucks. Miles didn't slide. This is an easy call. He had to handcuff himself to throw. He couldn't throw because Miles was standing in the
The only thing that they could do to allow that to stand was to say that his momentum was already carrying him far enough outside of Miles Bailey's running his path that it didn't have any bearing on the play. But I don't think that's the rule. It shouldn't be about is there bearing on the play. It's
and Miles is huge. Yeah. I mean, he takes much of the path up. So I would have.
Did he forget to slide? I don't think he's intentionally, because he gets his hands up in the defensive play. He's like, oh crap.
Well,
did he think that there wasn't enough time to turn to?
That all was facilitated back in the day in pro ball by the fact that they would just throw it off your face.
Yep. Right.
Like and that's what the beauty of the game is. It pleases itself. If you're not going to slide, you can wear this between the eyes.
Or if you're going down with your hands up, we got an answer for that.
Yeah, we got a little something here. I'm going to throw this underhanded off your chin, these things would occur. So then they just were like, hey, look, guys, you got to slide here. It's close on a double play.
If the rule is black and white, then we've got ourselves like the shortest replay review in history.
Yeah, I thought for sure that they were going to call him out at first. I'm glad they didn't, but I thought
also that head coach for Mississippi State, who's no longer the head coach, because they announced the Virginia coach within 10 minutes.
He was landing in Starkville as the game ended. Dude, that is brutal.
Did you see the press conference last night?
No.
It's a human moment. The interim coach he's basically saying it's just insane. People can't wait for these things. We're on a bus Wednesday and Thursday, and I've got kids on the bus freaking out as these reports are leaking. He's like, we're trying to win a game. We're trying to win a regional. We're trying to save our season.
I actually didn't have a problem with him.
That's what
I don't have a problem with him.
He was measured as hell.
Yeah, I thought he was all right. It's ugly. That is ugly. Ruthless. Dude's playing his landing. Gather your stuff.
I'm telling you,
stuff.
I saw the On3 report as I was watching the press conference video. I'm like, oh.
But this is, now I will say, there's a perfect example of what we're talking about, why you got to get out of this conference. They're frustrated. They need a new head coach, and they go grab a great ACC coach. It's the first thing they do. They're going to offer him more money. Now, look, man, you can't tell me that if you had your druthers, would you rather live in Charlottesville, Virginia, or Starkville, Mississippi? Who the hell are we kidding? That is all about money. There ain't nobody on earth, maybe a Klansman, that would say, I can't wait to go to Starkville.
And even then, the other town has a little history, so it's not like it's not like he's a fish out of water in Charlottesville.
What are we doing?
So I don't think he would. It's kind of home field advantage here in Charlottesville.
Well, the outskirts. You got to get outside of Charlottesville for that to be the case. But man, I was blown away by that. They conquer all peaks, our friends at T-Spark Enterprises. And the good news is commercial space, they got you. Commercial renovations, they've got you. Tenant build-outs, they got you. Your home, your roof, and any of the other structural problems you might encounter involving roofs and gutters and the like, they got you at T-Spark Enterprises. Give T-Spark a call today, 850-766-1340. Serve North Florida and South Georgia, as well as Tallahassee, Monticello, Havana, Quincy, Crawfordville, Wakulla, Madison, Thomasville, Bainbridge, Cairo. Goodness gracious, they're everywhere. License number CGC 1525336, CCC 1331204. Final hour forthcoming. Stay with.
I got some pretty spooky news from my Paul's termite and pest control technician the other day. It turns out that I'm sharing my home with Formosan termites. Those little monsters do damage about 4 times faster than the regular termites. Fortunately, Paul's discovered them on a routine general pest service, and they've already turned the Formosans back using an amazing treatment called Centricon.
Paul's was the first to introduce the Centricon termite colony elimination system to North Florida and is the leader in this non-invasive treatment. Instead of dumping gallons and gallons of harsh chemicals into our soil, Centricon uses environmentally sensitive treatments loaded in bait stations. These stations are placed around the home. Termites are present, they feed, and take it back to the colony, which is then destroyed. To learn more about Centricon and a free consultation, go to callpauls.com for the elimination of termite or any other pest.
And a greener lawn, too.
Call Pauls. We'll get them all.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
From the championship stage to coaching change and everything in between, Warchant.com remains your home for the best FSU football coverage in the business. Brutally honest columns and features, market-leading multimedia presence across video and podcast, the largest FSU fan community with a staff that combines for over 100 years of experience covering the Noles. When change comes, Warchant.com is your home for analysis from every angle. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Sign up today.
WBFT, Greater Tallahassee. This is Real Talk 93.3. More of the Jeff Cameron Show is coming up next.
Your sports action update on Real Talk 93.3 with all the latest odds from Vegas.
A rematch of last year's Stanley Cup final won by the Florida Panthers. Florida visiting Edmonton for game 1 on Wednesday. Edmonton $1.25 favorite. Florida plus 105, 6.5 under the total. NCAA baseball tournament underway with the regional round this weekend. The super regionals next weekend. Arkansas, the 5-1 favorite to win the College World Series. LSU 6-1. Tennessee 8-1. North Carolina, the first non-SEC school in the betting markets at plus 850. Georgia 9-1. Vanderbilt 10-1. Texas 15-1. $250 bonus and you open up a GBank Visa signature card. Visa.com/GBank. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
It's Macy's Friends and Family Sale, which means if you're shopping for summer, you can get insider deals on our best brands, even ones that aren't usually on sale, like an extra 30% off Hugo Boss, Calvin Klein, Levi's, and more. Plus, get 15% off beauty and fragrance. And with Father's Day just around the corner on June 15th, it's a great time to shop for Dad. Stop by Macy's and walk out with the perfect gift. Don't miss Friends and Family, starting tomorrow, only at Macy's. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Why'd I go to the doctor? My heart would race just taking my son to practice. It didn't feel right. So I got checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Porterman, you're walking crooked again. What happened to you?
Well, I was sitting at the boat ramp sipping on a margarita when my alligator Hank decided we needed to go water skiing.
Oh, no.
Next thing you know, Hank's strapped to 4 skis and I'm hanging on his back and the boat is pulling us out. It was all going great till Hank spotted a duck in the lily pads and wanted to jump the wake.
Porterman, you're crazy. No wonder you got hurt.
Yep, 1 second it's air, water, water, air, then bam, now I can't even bend over to put on my own water skis.
Well, Porterman, you better get over to Thin Chiropractic right now. You can book an appointment online and take advantage of the new patient special.
Special offer online? That's easier than wrestling an airboat off a sandbar.
That's right. Just go to thinchiro.com. FENNCHIRO.com. FENNCHIRO.com.
That's it. I'm headed over there boogity boogie to get straightened out.
Make this summer a Swain summer. Choose Swain Pools and Spas for all your regular monthly or weekly scheduled pool maintenance, repairs, restoration, and renovation. Swain Pools and Spas is Tallahassee's pool everything store. Whether it's a deep clean, a resurfacing, or a full refresh, Swain's team will have you swimming, not skimming, in no time. Make a splash this summer and have a Swain summer. Find out all the ways Swain Pools and Spas can upgrade and maintain your backyard. Online at SwainPools.com. That's SwainPools.com.
And right next to Swain Pools and Spas is Tallahassee Car Care, the only repair shop where you can take a dip while we repair your whip. Tallahassee Car Care, right next to Swain Pools and Spas.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
State advances, sweeps the Tallahassee Regional. Peace, Mississippi State. Take it on down the road. Good luck with your new coach. We shall see. Florida State actually provides a respite from the nerves, if you think about it, comparatively to the other regionals around the country, which saw an awful lot in the way of upsets. The SEC brutalized in this postseason. Beautiful to watch. Could continue with the games that start right now. In fact, that's what we get. We've got North Carolina and Oklahoma underway, and a winner-take-all should be a good one.
Got a choice for you that I put on the boards, and I know what the correct answer is. It's just more of a gauge of where you stand.
Okay.
If I could promise you that one of the following two institutions was going to lose today, which would you choose? Oregon State, meaning we would get a home super regional, or North Carolina?
Well, no, I'd want Oregon State to lose. I mean, listen, if we play North Carolina, we'll be playing them in Omaha, so that's fine with me.
Just about past to the title. I find myself, I was thinking about it this morning, I'm greedy. Now that I'm seeing all these top 16 seeds drop, I'm thinking, well, hey, Carolina, if you want to skedaddle on down there too, then I'm going to start to dare to dream big time.
Listen, I know that North Carolina handled us. They proved in the regular season and in the postseason in the ACC tournament they're the better team. But I would rather know that I'm playing, that if we play North Carolina again, we're playing them in Omaha.
Yes. Again, this is also kind of a question that's getting at national title or bust aspirations. And then I know the correct answer. I get it, is a home super regional. The value of having a home super regional is immense. You don't think it matters? Just take a look at that atmosphere last night specifically. That place was coming apart at the seams. But the North Carolina thing, if Vandy's going to go down in Texas and Georgia and Florida, come on now, Oklahoma. Let's make it another one.
By the way, I brought it up last hour, and I brought it up to start the show. I think Kevin O'Sullivan could be in trouble. Tom, that video that is starting, there are two videos that are now circulating. It is not a good look, man. There's no excuse. He looks like a complete unhinged a-hole. And that nobody likes that guy, including people at Florida. They put up with him because he wins, and he does. But when you lose and you've been a pain in the you-know-what to people, it doesn't take long. The knives come out quickly.
Oh, no. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, he's screaming. I mean, and go listen to that, the Coastal Carolina coach who's talking about the people that O'Sullivan was yelling at. One of them is a Hall of Famer. Yeah. I could see that getting very interesting. Just putting it out there as we start hour 3. I could see that getting very interesting.
Man, that's finger pointing.
Oh, there's a lot of disrespect.
That's getting too close to the mouth.
Well, it's the kind of thing that gets you punched.
Yeah, man. Well, I brought it up last week about that one company. Did you see the ad this weekend? Because it was on the ACC network.
Which one?
It was the GovX.
I still haven't seen it.
Oh, you'll know it. The guy at the end, he puts the phone in the cop's chest and goes, use it. But the finger
is
gets
right in the face. Yeah.
Man, I
don't know about all this. Yeah. But back to Florida State, it was a great weekend for the pitching staff, and Mike Capozzi's got to be very pleased. Obviously, it culminates with the Wes Mendez performance, in which he's absolutely a stud in that game. I mean, if you tell me that we're going out there and we're going to get 8 innings from Wes Mendez, in which he gives us only 2 runs, I'm going to feel really, really good about our chances of going deep, because now you have another reliable starter. I would argue you have 3 very reliable starters. I know Vellini has been better than what we saw this past weekend, a weird set of circumstances there. But I think Vellini is dependable. And now you've got Mendez and his confidence and his arsenal of pitches getting better and better. And then obviously we saw the real Jamie Arnold. We saw the one that we knew existed, the one that was the true ace, the guy that could bring it. And he did. The guy that's projected to be a number 1 pick. And he did. And what was it, 119 pitches digging deep? Go ahead on, sir. Very, very pleased. If I'm going to question, if I'm going to say, hey, I need a better version of you, which I have, I've got to certainly applaud the version that I saw that dominated and really was outstanding when he needed to be in the postseason, that reached down deep and delivered big. A good weekend for a lot of guys. Obviously, we documented Miles Bailey. All he does is have good at-bat after good at-bat after good at-bat. You could have argued that he should have been the player of the regional, actually. And then I've been very impressed for Cal Fisher. He's deserved better results than he's gotten, and he finally got the result.
Yeah, and he was getting good results anyway.
Right.
But it looks like it's going from a place where he was awfully streaky, and it could be that it's still that, but the approach has been so refined. I mean, you're working hard to earn meatballs rather than swinging at the first pitch that looks good. It's battling in the count. And then that opposite field power is for real. We already know that he can hit one a mile over the scoreboard.
He's a big, strong kid. He's transformed his body. He's a big, strong kid.
Yep. That middle of the order is fearsome if Max gets going.
We need Max to get going. We need Lodis to get locked back in. There are a few guys that have been really dependable and vital to this team's success this year that aren't going well right now, and yet you overcome that and you find ways to sweep the regional. I mean, it's not just that you win the regional, you sweep the regional, and Lodis hasn't been himself lately, and Max certainly has had way too much swing and miss in him.
There was somebody in the chat earlier, credit them without crediting their name, but they said, is it just me or are we pretty close to having a 20-run output? Yes. Yesterday, especially.
Oh, well, yesterday.
You break through a couple of big hits. You had back-to-back bases loaded situations, and I think it's the third or the fourth might have been the second.
Doing it with 2 outs is what was pissing me off. Yeah.
Yeah. Had 11 on base that we left through 5 innings, I think. A couple of hits in those situations, and you're getting into Mississippi State's bullpen, and you might drop 12, 15, 17.
You got to. Look, this is the beauty of baseball. You give yourself these opportunities time and time and time again. The result doesn't always happen the way that you want it to. You end up frustrated in a game like that where you're leaving 10, 11, 12, 13 guys on base, and you're going, man, is this going to be one of those nights? Maybe, because that's how baseball goes. But the real trick is to constantly give yourself those chances. And a lot of days you will cash those in. A lot of days, one of those will find green grass. And the next thing you know, it's a blowout. It beats the hell out of those nights in which you're 5 innings of shutout baseball and you've got 1 runner on base. Very different scenario last night. I wasn't feeling desperate. I was feeling frustrated.
But the whole thing was, this is where it ratchets up the pressure on Wes Mendez, and it makes his performance all the more notable, is that you can't have a crooked number go up, Wes. I mean, this can't get to 3-0, 4-0, because now
you start pressing.
I mean, that's still in college baseball, especially in that ballpark, if you're hitting out to right field, that's not a lot, but you're getting into the 6th inning, and we can't have it. This cannot get to 3 or 4. And so for him to be able to wade through those waters, get through a jam, eat a mound visit as well as he's getting tired, dig deep, and record outs after a mound visit where Posey could have taken him out. If we do get to speak to Micah this week, I'd love to know about the dynamics of that decision, because that's a real choice for a guy who's sitting in for the manager, the head coach of the ball club, who's down the hallway somewhere.
I got to tell you, I actually, forgive me about the sneeze.
All right, so one of the keys here.
I'm back. We didn't get to the lightning talk. I know you were going to try. Okay, we get to.
$8 million in cap room is last estimate that I saw.
All right, we're back.
All right.
Damn it, man. Fighting this sneeze, something fierce. It's a testament to the coaching staff and to Micah. I felt good. I wasn't worried that they were going to do something outrageously stupid because Link wasn't there. I was like, hey, he'll handle it. He'll be all right. He'll know what to do. This was really this was going to be about a game in which you judge your pitching staff. So your pitching coach didn't get thrown out. Yeah.
It's a whole lot easier when your starting pitcher goes 8.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And he's dominant and electrifying and his pitch count's low. So you're like, I got no decision to make. He's rolling. We just got to get some hits going here.
Right.
Yeah.
The only thing that you're deciding on is, pinch hitting DeLamielleure for Hankerson or whatever you're doing.
Which I actually oddly thought was going to be a big moment. I thought DeLamielleure was going to get into one. Yeah. He's got the power to do so. Yes, he does. And against the lefty, I'm like, okay.
Well, that home run he hit at the baseball grounds in Jacksonville,
yeah.
He went oppo. And that's all you need to see in terms of, is it in him?
He's got a lot of, he's got a lot of pop. Oh, they're a fun team to talk about next year.
Yeah, you got a switch hitting Chase Williams and Miles Bailey, and if you maybe can get a couple of these kids back.
Well, and you got Wes on the hill, and it'll be interesting to see who you get back. But they've got a little something.
Yeah, Fisher. I mean, the middle of that order should be fine.
Side note, we usually deviate to some sort of professional sports talk here for a moment in the third hour, in the bonus hour. Not always. But I do want to point out that Scotty Scheffler won the Memorial. And I want to point out, Tom, that Scotty Scheffler has won as many times on the PGA Tour since May the 2nd as the Colorado Rockies have games in that same time period. Now, think about that. He's won 3 times this year on the PGA Tour, and the Colorado Rockies have won 3 games since May the 2nd. They have 50 losses before they have 10 wins. They are 9-50, the fastest to ever get to 50 losses. This is something to behold for all of us. I mean, I'm doing a nightly tracker. I get up in the morning to check to see if the Rockies lost. It's a thing now. I want to see some unattainably bad record reached, right? Where you're like, well, in my lifetime, certainly, and probably my kid's lifetime, nobody's ever going to break the futility record that we're seeing currently from the Colorado Rockies. This is unreal.
They went 18-144.
Right. Like, Tom, they are not on pace to win 30 games. They are not. I mean, this is unbelievable.
They're on pace to lose 100 before they win their 19th.
That is not even, I mean.
That's just the math.
I was looking it up, though. They're still getting 18 to 20,000 people a night. It's almost become kind of a freak show.
Excellent drink specials.
I would hope. It'd be like minor league baseball. $1 hot dogs, and by the way, here's a 40-ouncer for $1. You're going to need it. Well, they fired Bud Black. They've won 2 games since they fired the manager. I bet he feels not good about it. I mean, goodness gracious.
Triples for the price of singles on the spirits.
I mean, goodness gracious. Yeah, it's just a little side note there, but Scotty Scheffler won again. Again. That's what he does. And we're watching a guy on a tear that is legendary. And now I'm really, really intrigued to see how far this goes. Because you're not even, this is where we're at. North Carolina 2, Oklahoma nothing in the first inning, ladies and gentlemen. Little 2-0 lead for UNC early in the ball game against Oklahoma. Don't forget, Tom, a North Carolina win means another SEC exit.
I'd trade it in this case. I would trade it because I don't care about the ACC that much.
Let's go Tar Heels.
No.
3-0 Tar Heels. 3-0 UNC. I don't mean it. Oklahoma's my other team. Come on, OU. Get it together. But they're down 3-0 in the first. I don't care. Tom, don't worry about North Carolina. We see him in Omaha, baby. We'll spank that ass.
I'm getting greedy. I've seen all these empires, they're all falling around us.
I have a suspicion that Oregon State's going to house Southern Cal tonight.
They've dropped like 35 runs in the last 2 games.
It's like they got mad when they lost to St. Mary's, isn't it? I mean, goodness gracious. And they did go 44-13 this year. They're not bad.
Yeah,
and that's a program of substance.
Yeah, they care deeply about baseball out there.
They do.
Yes.
They do. They've won a national championship.
If nothing else, they really will go after it.
They will. I bet Benny to the Beavers there.
Oh,
celebrating. He's like, let's go.
Here we go.
He's all kinds of pumped up. Anyhow, 3-0 North Carolina.
Why don't we use those wood bats?
Big news out of the NFL, and I do think it is big news. I would say this is a toughie. Detroit Lions center Frank Ragnow, a 4-time Pro Bowler, and, in just 7 seasons said, I'm out. He pulled a what's-his-name for us, who was our great guard.
Marpet.
Ali Marpet.
Who is now 175 pounds.
He just said, I'm out. I'm done. Ragnow's been a Pro Bowler 4 times in his 7 NFL seasons, and he just decided, I'm done dealing. I don't feel like playing. Detroit's going to be like we were. Sir, you just went to the Pro Bowl. We're good. We won 14 games. Where are you going?
Dan Campbell is so depressed he's doing an extra set of bench presses today.
He's choked up is what he is. These past couple of months have been very trying as I've come to the realization that my football journey is ending and I'm officially retiring from the NFL. I've tried to convince myself that I'm feeling good, but I'm not. It's time to prioritize my health. I've given this team everything I have. I thought I had more to give. The reality is I don't. I have to listen to my body. It's been one of the hardest decisions of my life. The Lions organization has been incredible throughout this process. I can't emphasize enough how grateful I am for this team and all the fans. It was an absolute honor going to battle for all of you. That's a hell of a statement, by the way. That's how you do it right there.
I've now invested in a marshmallow company, Ragnow's Roasters. You can find them at ragnowsroasters.com.
Played 16 games last year. I mean, it's not like he was all beat up. He was out there playing. First round draft pick 2018. I've wondered how many more of these guys we're going to see this, because their guaranteed money's much different than it used to be. And if you get some of that and you're in the $20 million range or something, and you've invested wisely, of course, just been reasonably intelligent, you're like, I could ride.
Yeah.
And never have to work again.
6 figures a year off of the interest on much of your contracts. And then you got some walking around money if you want to make a big purchase or two.
You've got some walking around
There
money
you
is
go.
right, man.
But you don't even have to spend off the principal.
I know. That's a big loss for Detroit, though. Tragic to see that they weakened in the offseason.
Boy, between that and Philly having losing their whole defense. All right.
Okay.
I see you. It's the Commanders, the Polygons themselves, and the Bucks.
Yeah, it is the Commanders. They're going to be good. They're going to be loaded. Damn it, man. That kid is going to be sensational for a long time to come. That is going to be a problem. If you go look at Baker's numbers last year, they're unbelievable. Go look at his numbers again in the break. You're going to be like, well, I don't think he can play better than that.
Well, and yet there was a dry spell around the second quarter of the season when you're looking through at some of those games in October.
Yeah, he had a couple.
He was a couple of clunkers.
Yeah, he had a stretch about 2-3 games where he was throwing it to the other team, and you're like, oh, we need to stop doing that.
Baker,
stop that. Yeah, you've been too good. Don't do that. But no, he had himself a year, buddy. And when you go look at those numbers, you're like, hey, he's not going to best that, I don't think. Chef Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Hey, everybody, this is Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage. Been in the industry now for 22 years. I just made the move over to the nation's largest retail lender, Cross Country Mortgage, here to serve you in 7 states, including Florida, Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and the state of Texas. Here to offer better service, better rates, and if you were thinking about buying, or if you've been on the fence and been waiting to call me, now is the time. You can still find me at loansforknowles.com. That is, again, loansforknowles.com. I've helped thousands of fellow Knowles get into their dream home, and I can't wait to help you get into yours. Give me a call today. I'm at 954-369-6171, or go to loansforknowles.com. Again, that's 954-369-6171, and that's loansforknowles.com.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 373031.
When was the last time you randomly did something nice for someone that means a lot to you? Now, I say this every day at the end of my show for everybody to be a better person today than you were yesterday. Well, one way to do that is to drop into Pentalta and get a gift for someone who deserves it. It'll brighten their day, their week, maybe even their year. You don't have to wait for a holiday or special occasion, so don't wait to go check out a true local gem, serving Tallahassee since 1988. Now, sing along with me, and I'll see you at Pentalta.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out?
It's Spruce, the new hardworking, worry-free weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people and pets. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Weeds die by the next day. Find Spruce wherever weed killers are sold.
Looking to upgrade your backyard, your business, or even your life? Then you've got to check out Southeast Portable Buildings right here in Tallahassee.
That's right. Southeast Portable Buildings has everything. Sheds, cabins, carports, and now beautiful decks to go with them.
Imagine a brand new storage building and a deck out front. Perfect for that morning coffee or for your family gatherings.
Need something custom? No problem. They'll work with you to find exactly what fits your needs. Big or small, simple or stylish.
And with easy financing options, you can make your dream space happen sooner than you think.
Southeast Portable Buildings, where you're not just getting a building, you're getting a lifestyle upgrade. Give our friends a call today, 850-580-6400. That's 850-580-6400.
Southeast Portable Buildings.
Big buildings.
Big decks.
Big dreams.
Southeast Portable Buildings on West Tennessee Street, just north of Capitol Circle in Tallahassee.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Hey, so just so you know, by the way, I mentioned it before the break, and I'll move on from this because we also have to do above and beyond, who went above and beyond, in fact, and I'll do that momentarily. But, Tom, just so people don't think I'm crazy, Baker Mayfield last year threw for 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns to just 16 interceptions. He completed 71% of his passes. My man is, so you complete 71% of your passes, you throw for 4,500 yards and 41 touchdowns. He's not going to top that. That's insane.
Well, these are the numbers that they are citing over in Jacksonville right now. Jags fans are hoping for.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I won't say it, but Duval is hoping for a nice little bounce back, and they think that Liam Cohen might be the quarterback whisperer. And maybe, who knows, because Lord knows Dave Canales didn't get those numbers out of Baker Mayfield.
No, and Baker, by the way, ran for nearly 400 yards as well. Yourself a season, dude. My goodness gracious. Hopefully Bucky Irvin will top that 1,100 yards that he had this past year as well.
That was fun. I mean, like, that's
a nice player.
That segment group is kind of nice because you also have Sean Tucker, who didn't suck.
No, Sean Tucker was very, very good. Averaged 6.2 yards per carry. He didn't get a lot of carries, but he was good when he did.
Yeah.
And obviously Rashad White, catch the ball in the backfield, decent enough runner. Yeah, they got
pass protector.
It's a good room. It's a good room. Okay, so this is the fun part. This is the part where I tell you now's the time to book, and you should. And I was looking at some of the properties over the weekend, Tom. I may very well be booking in soon once we figure out the situation with Florida State baseball.
What I have on the screen right now for those watching on Warchant TV are 4-night prices at the end of this month. These are 4-night.
4 nights. Look at this. That's no money. Let's go. By the way, that's a misnomer. The tiny home on Pinellas Trail. It's not tiny. There's plenty of room. I've been in it. Beachside Cottage, okay.
Yeah, those are the ones right there. The ones that are steps to Clearwater Beach.
Walk out onto the beach.
For 4 nights, $750. Get the hell out of here. 10% off as well.
Yeah, you can't beat it. And that's what's going on right now. If you go to aboveandbeyondvr.com, they want me to continue to talk to you about the 10% off. They've upped it from 5. They want to go ahead and keep it 10. Let's go. 10% off over 30 properties. 18 of those properties have a pool as well. You got everything from luxury condos to cottages to waterfront beach property. Yeah, it's good stuff. Check it out for yourself. Go surf around there on their website, aboveandbeyondvr.com. That is a Knoll family-owned and operated business. In fact, our buddy Matt was texting us last night.
Yeah, he's grilling out.
Loving life is what he was doing. Knoll's big.
to answer an old dad, some of these properties have multiple bedrooms. Those 4-night prices, some are 1 bedroom. One is a 3-bedroom property. So again, I mean, you're talking like $200 a night for multiple bedrooms.
Yeah, and you save
All
10%, and you save 10% if you use the promo code JCS. And also, by the way, the other part of this is why you save a lot of money beyond just the 10% off we're giving you with the code JCS. There's no middleman fees. You don't get any of the nonsense that you get with a VRBO. None of those fees exist.
Well, and they did something like this is just a general talking point. We see this as fans now with Ticketmaster and other places. Certain states require that you show the all-in price rather than if you wanted to get secondary market tickets to a Knoll game and you see they're like $85 a piece. All right, then you go get 2, so it's $170. I'm expecting to see $170 with some taxes at the checkout. But at the checkout, it's like $320 because there's all these handling fees.
Yeah, and all the nonsense, yeah.
All that stuff. They now have the all-in pricing. So what you see on there is the total price out the door. And yes, you get with them, you avoid Airbnb and Vrbo prices and markups, which is very, very helpful.
So if we look and we go back through, this should be an easy one. We've got a lot of choices for who went above and beyond.
Above and beyond. Above and beyond. Above and beyond.
Above
and beyond.
So last night, Miles Bailey, so just so you know where I'm going with this, right? Had 2 hits and 4 plate appearances last night, including an RBI, as you well know. The night before, and by the way, have we talked about the Grand Slam?
Yeah,
Miles.
Well, we have via text, I think, but yeah.
So the night before that, obviously, Miles was also very, very good, and that was the 1 for 3 with the Grand Slam, 4 RBIs in that game.
5 games in a row, going yard. Yeah.
5 games in a row, going yard, doing some things. And then you go back to the night before that. These are all 3 games, obviously, folks, of the regional. This is what I'm doing. Miles was 2 for 2 with 2 runs and 2 RBIs and 2 hits and 2 walks. They couldn't get him out. And right after the long weather delay, he hit the home run against Bethune. Miles Bailey is my selection for who went above and beyond over the weekend. I would argue that he should have been the player of the regional. He was simply fantastic.
I agree. He was the most outstanding player in the regional. They went with Jamie Arnold. Not a bad choice.
I'm not mad at Jamie or anything like that.
Yeah.
He was great. He was sensational. But, man,
you could have argued Mendez before you argued for Arnold. But those guys are all in the medal stand. They all did well.
They all did very well.
I could argue for Mendez. I'm actually going to go off of Florida State baseball. I'm going to go to a Florida State baseball alum, and it's Cal Raleigh, who now leads the Bigs in home runs with 23. He's homered in, I think, 4 consecutive. It's either 3 or 4 consecutive games. Just a quick list here. He's by far the fastest by a catcher in Major League Baseball history. This is the fastest to 23 home runs by a large margin. So he's setting records for power productivity from catchers in Major League Baseball history. Not Johnny Bench, Campanella, Piazza, Todd Hundley, you name it. Guys who have had exceptional seasons. He's having a better season so far. He's on pace for over 60 home runs. Most home runs by a Seattle Mariner in the first 58 games of a season.
Wow.
1997, Ken Griffey Jr., 25. 1994, Ken Griffey Jr., 24. And now Cal Raleigh, 23 home runs. He's with the great Ken Griffey Jr. for the most productive start to a season in Seattle Mariners history, and he's leading the Bigs in home runs. It's phenomenal.
That is phenomenal, and I don't know that I would have realized to the extent. I knew he was playing great, and I watch a lot of baseball, and I knew his numbers were rivaling some of the best, but that is sensational, and good for you, Cal Raleigh. I mean, that guy got better and better, and now he is only exceeding expectations on a nightly basis. For a catcher, tough to do.
He's opsing 1,100 over the last month. In the last month, he has hit 11 home runs. It's just been
go ahead on, brother.
Sustainable and amazing. Now, of course, Florida State baseball leads the way, the actual team, not the alum, but he just deserves some recognition, and this is a good spot for that.
Above and Beyond VR.com. Book today. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio. Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Your local news now.
5 people are taken into custody and transported. Rachel and A with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
Now, here's your Paul's Termite and Pest Control Tallahassee weather report.
A sunny start to the weekend. Warmer rain chances return midweek and stick around through the end of the week. High temperatures in the lower to mid-90s. Tonight, mostly clear, low of 68. Tuesday, mostly sunny, 20% chance of showers and storms, high of 95, low of 72. Wednesday, mostly sunny, 50% chance of showers and storms, high of 91. Same for Thursday, a 50% chance of showers and storms, high near 90. From Real Talk 93.3, this is Danielle Kelly.
For the elimination of termites, pests, and for a greener lawn too, call Paul's. They'll get them all.
Honey, what are these mushrooms in our yard? Portobello?
Huh. Let me take a look. Oh,
It's hockey.
I don't know, but our septic system is failing, and our whole yard smells like.
Should we try to cook these up and eat them tonight?
This is bad, Sheila.
Well, we better fix it soon, or we're going to be in deep.
Sheila, look, it's Crud Septic. Our prayers are answered.
Call Crud Septic Service today. Pump outs, installs, repairs. CrudSeptic.com. That's CrudSeptic.com.
The hottest months of the year are also the most dangerous, not just because of heat waves or storms, but because they stress the power grid to the limit. That's why My Patriot Supply created the Grid Doctor 3300 solar generator. It delivers 3,300 watts of power, enough to run fridges, freezers, power tools, and more, all without gas, noise, or fumes, using free energy from the sun. And for a limited time, when you order a Grid Doctor 3300, you'll get 2 free 200-watt waterproof solar panels, a bonus worth $894. To claim your free panels before this offer ends, shop mypatriotsupply.com/radio. Whether it's summer blackouts, hurricanes, or just peace of mind in uncertain times, the Grid Doctor Solar Generator has your back. Go to mypatriotsupply.com/radio, mypatriotsupply.com/radio, and secure your Grid Doctor 3300 with 2 free solar panels today.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
I do want to make mention of something that is sad, unfortunately, but we do need to acknowledge it. And Tom, you'll remember him. Bradley Jennings passed away over the weekend, and I was unaware of this until this morning early. Former FSU linebacker, was part of that 99 national championship team. Nickname was Monster. He was sensational, and died, at a very young age. That's a tough one to take. I saw where Kendall Pope talked about Bradley Jennings and his leadership back in 2001, saying that he wanted to go home to go work out. It was Bradley Jennings that told him, no, we got to stay here. We got to prep for the season. And he talked about that. A lot of people came out today, former players, former teammates of his, to talk about who Bradley Jennings was. I didn't know Bradley Jennings, the person. I've interviewed him a couple times, but I remember the 6'3", 240-pound linebacker who was a menace, a bit of a throwback. In today's game, you don't see as much of that monster in the middle making plays, but that's what he was. And he signed with FSU in 97 out of Miami. I remember that was a big deal. And he became a linebacker that was a tackling machine. In fact, for his career, 339 tackles, 2 sacks, 4 fumble recoveries, 3 interceptions, and 41 career games. He was first team All-ACC his senior season, a really, really good football player. He was a third-team All-American. He was that kind of good player. He had 14 or more tackles in 4 different games that year. That's how productive Bradley Jennings was. And Mickey Andrews, former defensive coordinator, obviously, and legend, had this to say: he genuinely loved putting on the pads every single day, whether it was going to practice or certainly playing in a game. And he didn't like to lose. He was very special on defense. He had all the tools to be a great linebacker. Fortunately for Bradley, He was a guy that right before he was to be drafted, he was, if I remember correctly, there was a robbery of some kind. He got shot and it affected his draft status, and he never got to play in the NFL, which was tragic. And anyhow, but he had kids, and one of them came here briefly and originally committed to here and then transferred. Another one played 3 different schools. His daughter runs track, I think, at Miami, from what I've read. So rest in peace, Bradley Jennings. Sucks. I mean, that's too young to die, but he passed away over the weekend, and just wanted to acknowledge that because I remember watching him and covering him. He was a very good player.
That was one of those parts of my life where watching Florida State from afar, I was very much a general fan, and I remember the name and I remember some of the plays, but it's not as encyclopedic as somebody who was on the air covering him in 1999. But those defenses, especially that wire-to-wire defense, was something special because we needed it to be. You figure with a couple of Heisman candidates, a few Heisman candidates on one side of the ball that you drop 40 every night. That wasn't the case in 99. And that defense was something else. And I know he played 40 games overall, but yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace indeed. You know, something I didn't realize, this is something to point out too. This is just information. I know it's depressing, and nobody likes to have to talk about these things, but I got to give Jim Henry credit of the Democrat. I love Jim, known him a long, long time, does a great job. He's something of a historian as well about Florida State football. When he was talking to Kendall Pope, Pope was saying that Bradley Jennings, in addition to pointing out that he was a family man and loved his kids and that was his focus and all those things, but they pointed out that there's been a tough run lately amongst Florida State former players, and it makes me sad, but I didn't realize that defensive lineman O.J. Jackson had passed. He was a teammate of Bradley Jennings at Carroll City. He was killed in a shooting last November. Offensive lineman who played in the early 80s for Florida State, Dan Morris, died last December. Keith Ross, who played in the late 80s, died recently. Billy Allen, who played in the early 80s, died. Shelton Thompson, who I remember was a linebacker here at Florida State, he passed away last January. And then, of course, Tom, we remember we just reported it last year, Marcus Outson died at the age of 46 in Tampa, complications from a rare immune deficiency disorder. He passed away.
Matt Meinrod passed away.
Yeah, Meinrod as well. It's too many, man, lately. It's just sad. Just sad. It's not an easy segue, but just sad to point that out. Hated to see that news, but I thought I should share it. Now, something I did see that has nothing to do with anything serious at all was that, did you notice over the weekend there might have been, I don't know, no shortage of 20 videos that turned it into a funeral, which was inside the NBA in its final broadcast as TNT's flagship NBA studio show? Did you see this? Did you see it? I mean, I love Ernie and I love all those guys. Did you watch the way that thing was covered?
No, all I saw was that Shaq dropped an F-bomb towards the end. That's the only thing that crossed my timeline.
So they're all talking about ESPN, and he said, when we come over, we're not effing around. That's what Shaq said. But here's the thing. I didn't understand the way that, Ernie reacted. Kind of with Ernie, but not as much as he was emotional for that situation as I thought he would be. I thought it was weird. They're still doing the show exactly as it is now. There were people, and I love that show. Don't get me wrong. I love Inside the NBA. And Shaq and Ernie and Kenny and obviously Charles, they're great. And their rapport is the best in the business. And it's funny. It gets you through the doldrums of a regular season, frankly, when I tune in. And I've rekindled the love for that show because of my son watching all the games during the week. But it is going to be, they move to ESPN next year. They retain its cast and the production team, and it's also going to be shot in Atlanta. They're not doing anything differently. And you would have thought, well, one of the world's best shows is off the air forever. Let's say goodbye. It's a great show. That's why it's still going to be on. That's why ESPN paid to bring it over. That's why all those guys are coming back. What are we doing? Ernie was practically weeping. I'm like, Ernie, you're still employed. You're still hosting the show. Same cast, same crew. I don't know if it's the exact same studio in Atlanta, but it is in Atlanta where you live. What are we doing?
Yeah, he has a love for Turner Sports that is
transcendent, apparently.
It is, because he always talks about that. They had the the show when the news was official, where they were on the campus at Turner Sports.
Yeah.
Remember the outdoor show? My guess is that there are a significant amount of people that don't necessarily work and are indispensable on inside the NBA that are being laid off. That's my guess. That within the Turner Sports framework, there are dozens of people that are not going to be employed anymore. That would probably be the source of the sadness. And then maybe also it's human to be bitter that you messed around with the negotiations and you idiot.
It didn't have to be.
It didn't have to be this way. Yes.
Well, I'd be frustrated about that, but I'd be less frustrated if I knew we were just getting picked up by somebody else in the same damn city I'm already working for the same amount of money, if not more, with the same cast of characters and production crew.
Maybe it's something we can all bond over. Maybe he hates ESPN and he is so disgusted that he has to hold that microphone for ESPN now.
Perhaps. I'm going to guess that it's more to do with what you said. I will point out, however, that he made mention towards the end of the broadcast that many of the people that worked on that show are taking jobs with Amazon, taking jobs with Netflix. Like, if you had anything to do with a successful show, to the extent that that show was successful, you tend to get jobs. You tend to find a way to get – people are desperate to recreate formulas that work to the degree that that worked. And so usually you're going to get a call. I mean, they're going to find a way to employ people who've been around something very successful and try to recreate it with whatever they can take from it.
It's the last, category that really gets people to pay money for television, like live sports is.
Yeah.
And coverage of live sports. I know that there are shows on our streaming services that we all love. I've got one that's on Netflix that I'll buy Netflix for a month and binge it when the next season comes out. But the thing that keeps you paying and re-upping every month is usually sports. And you can even see that to that end right now. The latest rumors about baseball and the ESPN deal that has been opted out of is Apple TV Plus is the front runner right now to expand their baseball portfolio because they know that Friday Night Baseball is bringing in some subscriptions to them because people will sign up for their one game a month and then forget about it.
The thing of it is you've got to have inventory during the dog days of summer.
Yep.
You got to have something to air. What is ESPN going to show? Good luck, guys. What are you going to show? I mean, we're the NBA Finals is almost over. The NHL Finals are almost over.
McAfee reruns?
I mean, I really was surprised that went down the way that it did.
But they were down to bare bones with MLB anyway.
They were.
They were down to the Sunday night game of the week. Did they even have weekday baseball? I don't know that they did. TBS picked it up.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm surprised.
Well, MLB Tonight kneecapped them, and in a good way because the product is better.
Great show, yeah.
But Baseball Tonight was the forefather to MLB Tonight, and ESPN was, capital W, capital A, capital S, the home for Major League Baseball coverage, and it was unquestionably the best place to get Major League Baseball coverage. And then MLB Network was like, we'll do it better.
We'll do it much better. And by the way, that state-of-the-art 4K studio and all that they do is lovely. How about this for Dirty? And it seems so indicative of Illinois. It's just this is the kind of thing that happens in the state of Illinois. Illinois passed new sports betting taxes in the middle of the night. The Sports Betting Alliance issued a statement calling the sports betting tax discriminatory, punitive, and constitutionally suspect. Sports bettors in Illinois woke up, logged into their apps, and were met with an uncommon warning. The state legislature was adding taxes, new taxes. The tax, which passed minutes before midnight local time, will be 25 cents for every bet for a licensee first 20 million bets. 50 cents per bet after that. Arrangement came as part of a $1 billion in new taxes to ostensibly fund public transit after a new provision last year raised taxes on sports books from a 15% flat fee to 40%.
Get out of here. Oh, man.
The new supercharge. What are we doing?
We are sending people back to illegal bookies is what we're doing in Illinois.
Well, and this is now being looked at. It sent alarm signals in the sports betting industry, proxies for FanDuel and DraftKings. have been worried about and have been in a blood feud with each other for years, tried to warn against these new taxes that are coming, that you have to pay attention to what's happening in your state. This is going to be interesting.
This is something that's not said out loud. And Hard Rock, if you want to sponsor us, I never said this. We are already taxed as bettors in the state of Florida. Because they're the only game in town, the odds are much more penal than they are in open competition states. For example, mutual friend of ours put a wager down on the Stanley Cup Finals and who the winner was going to be. And the market for it in Florida was Panthers minus 115 and Oilers minus 125. That's the Hard Rock market. If you go on to DraftKings,
right,
it's Panthers plus 105.
How?
And
currently,
it's Edmonton minus 115. Yeah, Edmonton is the betting favorite to win the series. I know, but they are. And
well, they're not going to win.
Think about the differences at scale, though. If you want to place a wager
crazy.
at minus 115 versus plus 105, that's what having only one betting service does to you. So we are already taxed in this state because there's no competition to entice the bettor.
The Sports Betting Alliance, which consists of FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, and Fanatics, issued a statement calling the sports betting tax punitive, constitutionally suspect. With this change, lawmakers are essentially urging customers, and here you go, Tom, and especially these small dollar bettors, to switch to unregulated books. That is another way of saying to bookies. Go bet with your bookies. These illegal operators are the big winners from Saturday's vote, they went on to say. If you're a bookie, you're like, all right, I'm back in business. Welcome back, Tony. Come on in here, buddy.
It's the same issue on anything. That could be about, prices.
It could be cigarettes.
Yes. or guns or cars. And it's just, if you put taxes on things, people are going to go somewhere else to get it for less.
Well, for 45% more. What are we doing in the dead of night? That is a bend over moment. Holy, what just happened here? Bet $5 to lose too. If I win, what's happening? I know that's if I win.
For a light rail at 400 miles away from where I live. Okay.
Well, if that'll get a speed rail in Florida, I'll take the taxes. I do want one desperately.
Would you opt in?
I'm opting in on the speed train. Let's go. I don't want to drive to Miami ever again. I want to sit on a speed train, sipping a cold one, be in Tallahassee in an hour.
Only if there is a car dedicated on that train to sports gamblers, right?
Oh, how glorious, right?
If you opted in on the app, you get to sit in the sports lounge.
We'd be amongst my people. Probable, sir. Cue it on up. Let's do this.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Rockies, Marlins, good God. It's a toughie. Herman Marquez, Max Meyer, Angels, Red Sox, Tyler Anderson, Richard Phillips. Brewers, Reds, Aaron Savale, Brady Singer. Tigers, White Sox, Jack Flaherty, only Flaherty. Jonathan Cannon. Padres, Giants, Stephen Kolek, and Logan Webb.
Good series.
It is. Twins, A's, Joe Ryan, Luis Severino. Late night tonight. Look at this on Lou Gehrig Day. Poor son of a bitch died of Lou Gehrig's disease. Tough thing. Mets, Dodgers. Paul Blackburn, Dustin May. Poor Paul Blackburn's up against it here.
Yeah. Spot start. That's a tough spot.
Hey, buddy, go get him against the Dodgers. It's all right. Paul Blackburn going to go out there and shove tonight against the Dodgers. That game is at 10:10 p.m. if you're an insomniac. Stay up for the whole thing.
Listed as doubtful.
That is a look at those that shall reside on the I do like that Scotty Scheffler stat. He's won as many times as the Rockies have, and since May 2nd. That's crazy.
That is nuts. I saw one today for Cal Raleigh, and I was trying so hard to find it in time for the Above and Beyond segment, but it has to do with the amount of home runs he's hit relative to the Kansas City Royals. Oh, here it is.
Boom.
Raleigh has hit 6 home runs in his last 27 plate appearances. Think about that. 27 plate appearances, 6 home runs. The Royals have hit 5 home runs in their last 543 plate appearances. So Cal's got more homers in 27 plate appearances than the Royals have in 543.
How's that possible?
That's why they're calling up Caglione. Finally.
Well, also he's good. And we got into June, and they could manipulate service time.
Yep.
That's exactly why.
Oh, magically, he's ready.
Hey, by the way, that is a good game we got going in the 3rd inning on ESPN. North Carolina 3, Oklahoma 2.
All righty.
We got us a ball game tonight, Southern Cal, Oregon State, 6 p.m. That's the one you're going to want to watch. And you're going to root for Southern Cal, so Florida State will host USC if it happens. Also tonight, Wake and Tennessee. And there's just something rich about Wake somehow knocking Tennessee out of this thing in Knoxville if it were to happen. And then there is the Cinderella Little Rock Club that was 27-33 this year and are 1 game away from beating LSU in the regional. Can you imagine?
Pesquiodo.
That would be crazy. Good work out of you. Be well, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Until then, peace.